Isasi lyamukubye mu kitundu ekibadde kiringa tikyerarikiriza tusuubira esasi eryo kubanga either it was stray bullet oba waliwo eryavuddewo naye we shall get to know naye si enemy. Bamwe twabategeka kubanga okuva ku bana bitwayarestinze abamu bamanyiddwa bamanyiddwa naye tutumanyi intention zaabwe lwaki bakikoze kubanga omuntu okujja okulumba balaksi y'amagye ng'erina RPGs erina zitanka naki nogireetera amafumu ne jambiya n'emundu nga n'otumundu ekyo tujja kutegeera lwaki bakoze kintu.
Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi General Kale Kayihura yavuddeyo okulabula abo bonna abaagala okutabangula emirembe mu bitundu by'eno.
We're going to do whatever it takes to arrest them, and really they will be dealt with by the law. This one is not something that you can just gloss over. It was very tragic for the country that this could happen.
Ono yakulisizza ab'ebyokwerinda ku kye baakoze okukkakkanya abantu ababadde batandise okukola obulumbaganyi.
The UPDF obviously played a very big role. We had a small police presence. We have now reinforced it. But even the police who were there did their best. And we've lost an OC station who was murdered in cold blood.
Mu kaseera kano embeera etandise okudda mu nteeko era abantu abamu balabiddwako nga bafuluma ekitebe kya poliisi gye badde baddukidde okufuna obuddamu. Amaduuka agamu gatandise okuggulawo ate abantu batandise n'okutambula ku luguudo. Wabula poliisi n'amagye bikyagenda mu maaso okufefeta ebifo byonna ebisuubira nti wayinza okubeerayo abalabe. Suhail Mugabi, NTV, Akawungezi.
Mu birala abakulembeze b'ensikirano babiri bugenze okuwungera nga bali mu kaduukulu ngeno bwe babasoya ebibuuzo ku bulumbaganyo bwakoleddwa ku bitebe bya poliisi n'amagye bundi bujeeyo ne mu bitundu eby'e Kasese n'Entoroko ku Lwokutaano n'Olwomukaaga. Ku bano kuliko n'akulira abaazirwanako mu businga bwa Lwenzururu ayitibwa Misali Mukwenda. Ono ekimukwasiza kibadde kya poliisi kuzuula nti bangi ku balumbaganya abakwatiddwa bali wansi we be bamu ku baazirwanako mu kitundu ekyo. Katwongera okunyonyoka ensonga eno.
Okuva abatamanya ngamba lwe balumba ebitundu bya Kasese, Bundi Bujjo n'Entoroko, buli omu waali aliko ebibuuzo bye yasigala yeebuuza ate nga bwe yeddamu. Embeera nga bw'ebadde kati ebimu ku byo biddibwemu. Okugeza ani mutuufu eyeenyigidde mu bulumbaganyi buno n'ebigendererwa bye na lwaki yalumbye ebitebe by'amagye ko ne poliisi. Wabula poliisi ekoze okunoonyereza okujja okwongedde ku bungi bw'ebibuuzo.
Twakizudde nti mu bana abazze mulimu abaveterani bangi abaali bazzeeyo awaka era mulimu n'abalala abamanyiddwa. Abakulembeze
b'ensikirano babiri okuli Katikkiro w'obusinga bw'e Lwenzururu Jeremiah Mutoro ne Misali Mukwenda akulira abaazirwanako bo bakwate.
Bagezaako okulaba nti batuyamba naddala ono Misali alina okutunnyonnyola lwaki ba veterans abali wansi we abangi beenyigidde mu kikolwa kino.
Kyandikomye naawo wabula poliisi ekyalina okuzuula emmundu zaayo bamawale bano ze baakuunye nazo.
Tulina emmundu 22 ezaabuze ze tugezaako okulondoola okulaba nga zizuulwa.
Ekyebuuzibwa emmundu zino singa ziba tezizuuliddwa mu bwangu abazigu bano bayinza kuzeeyambisa batya? Baabakwate ku nsonga eno nabo beeyongedde nga kati bali 8. Bye twakasembayo okufuna okuva ew'omusasi waffe e Kasese biraga nti embeera erudde eno ekyali yakaweereege ng'eddya ly'obukadde. Wadde ng'abantu bangi bawanuuza nti obulumbaganyi buno bwandiba n'akakwate ku bayeekera ba ADF, poliisi n'amagye bino babisambazze kubanga bo kye bamanyi abakambwe bano bafufuggazibwa dda. Ebyo nga bikyali bityo, poliisi era eriko abasajja babiri beegombyemu obwala nga bateeberezebwa okuba nga be baakulemberamu obulumbaganyi obwakolebwa ku bantu abaali mu kusaba mu kkanisa emu mu disitulikiti y'e Kyegegwa. Bano okuli Abdusalama Kuzimana ow'emyaka 28 ne Zazimana Sylvester baakukunuddwa mu kibira Ibambaro mu disitulikiti y'e Kyenjojo.
Ekitongole ky'abasiraamu ekitwala ekitundu kyabeeganye nga kigamba nti bano omuzikiti gwabwe n'enzikiriza yaabwe temanyiddwa mu kitundu.
Obulumbaganyi buno bwafiiramu abantu abasoba mu 2 ko n'okulumya abasoba mu 10. Solomon Kaweesa, NTV, Akawungeezi.
Weewaawo ababaka ba Parliament baagala abakwatibwako ebyokwerinda bajje mu Parliament banyonyoleko ebyo bigenda mu maaso ebundi bujo ne Kasese, naye nga tetunnaba kugenda kugulira eryo. Waliwo omusirikale wa poliisi eyattibwa mu bulumbaganyi obugenda mu maaso kati mu bitundu ebyo tukubuulidde, agenda okuziikibwa nga omuzira. Omuduumizi wa poliisi ya Uganda ayimiriza enteekateeka y'okuziika omukulu omugenzi Jacob Muhindo, omu ku bantu abasoba mu 6 abattibwa ku lunaku lwali lwa 6.
Jacob Muhindo yabadde wa kuziikibwa lunaku lwa jjo. Wabula Ssenkulu wa poliisi General Kale Kehura yasabye ab'enganda ze eby'okumuziika bagira babiyimiriza. Enteekateeka kati zigenda mu maaso, Muhindo aziikibwe mu kitiibwa omuli n'okumukubira emizinga.
The IGP himself is instructing that Muhindo Jacob should be buried as a hero because he died at work.
Omugenzi yafa ku Lwokutaano lwa Ssabbiiti ewedde. Abantu abatannategeerekeka baamugwikiriza ku mulimu ku luguudo oluva Embarara okudda e Kasese ne bamusanjaga n'oluvannyuma ne bakuulita n'emmundu gye yali akozesa okukuuma.
This has been a vigilant man, very hard-working on all that we've been sending him on tasks.
Waliwo n'omusirikale omulala naye yalumbibwa ekibinja ky'abantu be bamu era naye bw'atyo emmundu ye ne bagitwala. Mu bulumbaganyi buno obulabika nga bwabadde butegekeddwa bulungi, abantu abalala 11 okuli omujaasi wa UPDF n'abaana be 3 battibwa ku kyalo Bigando e Kasese. N'okutuusa kati abali emabega w'obulumbaganyi buno tebannamanyika.
NTV Akawungeezi kati katugende kugulira eri ababaka ba Parliament abaagala gavumenti ennyonnyole mu bulambulukufu ebyo bigenda mu maaso ebundi bujo Kasese n'Entoroko. Okumala kati ennaku 2 okulwanagana ab'ebyokwerinda kwe bagamba nti kuva ku njawukana amawanga kutadde abantu mu bitundu ebyo ku bunkenke obw'amaanyi nga bw'olabye. Weewaawo ng'abamu balowooza nti ekyokugamba nti okulwana kuno kuva ku mawanga si kituufu.
Okumala kati ebbanga lya ssaawa 8 embeera ekyali yaddukadduka mu disitulikiti y'ebundi bujo ne Kasese. Amagye galumye n'ogwengulu okufefeeta abantu abali emabega w'obulumbaganyi buno obutadde disitulikiti zino zombi ku bunkenke. Abantu abakunukkiriza mu 10 be bagambibwa okuba nga balusuddemu akaba so nga abandi bali ku bisago. Ku mbeera ey'obwerinde mu bitundu bino byonna, Paalamenti yagala minisitule y'ensonga ez'ebyomunda n'ey'ebyokwerinda ziveeyo mu bulambulukufu ku bigenda mu maaso.
Twetaaga okubira gavumenti omulanga eveeyo bukuukubira ku nsonga ng'eyo. Munnayuganda ne bwafoomu gavumenti erina okuvaayo bukuukubira.
Tekisoboka abantu ba bulijjo kwatakinga poliisi ate ne batta n'abantu. Kati waliwo abantu abalala be gavumenti esobola kulondoola n'ejjayo kubanga be bagenda kuleeta obutabanguko mu kitundu ekyo.
Ekitta abantu tekikkirizibwa. Musango munene nnyo gwa Bannagomolola guzza mabega kitundu, tewali mukulembeze yenna asobola kukikkiriza kigende mu maaso.
Wadde security agencies zivudde ne zitugamba nti lutalo lwa mawanga naye ogenda otunuuliranga ate kyavudde naawe ne kisembera n'okwatakinga okulumba ebitongole ebya security.
Yo gavumenti ekyakalambidde ku kyokuba nti zino ntalo z'amawanga wakati w'abakonzo n'abamba.
Kino ekyakoleddwawo sigamba nti oba tusobola okukiyunga ku buyeekera apaana.
Nze ku lwange ndowooza gavumenti tetubuulira ekituufu. Kubanga senga kibadde nga gavumenti bwetugambye nti zino zibadde entalo z'amawanga, lwaki abantu bano bagenze okulwanyisa okulumba poliisi n'amagye?
Why no? Ebyo nga bikyali awo, poliisi eriko abavubuka babiri beekutte nga bano be babadde bakulembeddemu ekibinja ky'abavubuka abeegattira mu kibiina ky'Abasongola Youth Development Association abeekalakaasiriza ku paalamenti olwaleero. Gye biggweredde nga babiri ababadde bakwatiddwa bateereddwa oluvannyuma lw'okunyizibwa poliisi, so nga abalala 20 abadde beekalakaasa nabo tukitegedde nti poliisi ebakutte ne batwalibwa ku CPS.
We have the ID.
NTV akawungezi byonna ebigenda maaso ebundi bujo Kasese n'Entoroko tujja kuba tubibatuusaako mu bujjuvu. Mu mawulire amalala abaana bana bafiiridde mu muliro ogukutte ennyumba ku kyalo Oluwonvu mu ggombolola y'e Ssekanyonyi mu disitulikiti y'e Mityana. Abaana bano babadde babeera ne jjajjaabwe okusinziira ku bye tutegedde era babiri ku bo babadde balongo.
Entiisa, enyiike wamu n'emiranga bibuutikidde ekyalo Luwonvu e Mityana enkya ya leero abatuuze bwe basanze abaana bana nga bajjiridde mu nnyumba ya mutuuze munnaabwe. Kigambibwa nti omuliro gwakwatidde abato bano babadde beebase. Amabujje gano gabadde gabeerawo na jjajja waago. Jjajja n'omuwala omukulu wabula tebaabaddewo nga bagenze ku dduuka kubaako bye bagula.
Buli eri yonna mu kisenge gwatuuse dda kale tulinayo tukutakkiriza. Tukuba enduulu abantu ne bajja.
Abatuuze ne basalawo okusima wano bakiweeyo eri ettaka tugire ki tugulewo.
Jjajja w'abaana agamba bwe baaviiriddewo mu nju temwabadde ettaala oba kyaka kyonna okuggyako ttooki.
Kyokka ng'ennyumba yonna ekoledde nga tewali muntu yenna wayinza kuyita n'amabaati nga gakoledde mu ddakiika eyo. Ate nga temubadde butimba, mbaddemu ttooki yokka.
Ssentebe w'ekitundu wabadde ekikangabwa kino agamba nabo bibasobedde olw'ensonga nti tebannategeera kiki kyaviiriddeko omuliro gwa Ssebaana.
Ne tudduukirira ogenda okutuuka nga abaana bayidde nga n'ennyumba emaze okugwamu. Abatuuze ne bakola ekisoboka kyonna ne bamenya ku nnyumba ekitundu ne basima ettaka ne bayiwamu bazikiza omuliro baleme kusiirira ddala.
Poliisi y'ekitundu etuuse neegezaako okwekebejja embeera era newa abatuuze olusa ogenda maaso n'okuzika nga bakyanoonyereza kiki ekyaviiriddeko omuliro.
NTV akawungezi tubasaasidde nnyo abooluganda lw'abaana abo. Eddakiika ziri 18 eziyise ku ssaawa emu tukomawo n'ekitundu ekyokubiri naye kankubuulira ebimu ku bikulu ebikirimu. Omwami wa Kabaka agobeddwa lwa kutunda ttaka, babiri babuulirizibwako. Omusajja atemyetemye omukazi kumpi kumutta, poliisi etandise nayo okumunoonya.
Ekibbobo ebyobwerere jangu birabe jangu towakana ku Airtel Money akakadde kagwirawo buli ddeire.
Yes, towakana with 1 million shillings up for grabs every day. Kagwirawo ku Airtel Money. Simply send and receive money, top up your airtime or data, pay for utility bills, groceries, fuel, and much more with Airtel Money, and you could be one of the day's 5 lucky winners. And if Mr. Money and his crew find you making a transaction, you win cash on the spot. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
Ensi ne bannamagoye.
Osula n'omuwala Albina embeerera owona siriimu.
Abano n'obulombolombo obumufula okuba nnamagoye.
Abasinga badduka bambi olw'okubanga abasawo b'ekinnansi babanoonya nga baagala ebintu bino. Okuzaalibwa ne langi y'olususu olwawukana ku lw'abazadde bo. Okuyigganyizibwa abaagala okukusaddaaka mbu bafune obugagga. Babiri, omu nga muddugavu ate omulala nga mweru. Baagwamu encukwe olunaku olwaddirira lwe baaziika omweru.
Twali tetumanyi nti omwana ono oba tebamuziika awo we batyo.
Omusana okukubabula olususu n'ofuna kookolo. Okuyitibwa ow'ekisiraani olw'okuba wazaalibwa ng'oli nnamagoye. Obulamu bw'abannamagoye. lindirira Gertrude Tumusime owitwale mu kugezaako okunnyonnyoka obulamu bwa bannamagoye.
Katugende maaso ne NTV akawungeezi. Katikkiro wa Buganda olwaleero ategeezezza nga bw'atandise okusitukira mu batunda ettaka lya Buganda nga ne bwetwogerera waliwo omwami w'eggombolola y'e Masuliita Ssaalongo Kivumbi agobeddwa. Katikkiro era ajjukiza nti gavumenti mu kaweefube gw'eriko okukyusa mu ssemateeka tesaana kubuusa nsonga ya federo maaso kubanga Buganda gye yeetanira. Bino abyogeredde mu kusoma embalirira y'Obwakabaka eya 2014-2015 egenda okumalawo obuwumbi bwa siringi 7.
Okuva lye yakwasibwa Ddamula, Katikkiro wa Buganda Charles Peter Mayiga abadde akiddingana ng'abo bonna bakwasibwa obuvunaanyizibwa mu Buganda bwe balina okubeera abeerufu.
Muwulira ebigenda mu maaso ku ttaka bingi, ebimu mbadde mbyogeddeko n'ali waggulu. Kati nasabye abakulira Buganda Land Board okwongera amaanyi mu kukangavvula abo aboonoona erinnya ly'ekitongole.
Era Katikkiro olwaleero alangiridde abadde omwami w'eggombolola y'e Masuliita Ssaalongo Kivumbi bwagobeddwa ku bwami buno era nga waliwo n'abalala abakyanoonyerezebwako olw'okutunda ebintu bya Buganda.
Oyo Ssaalongo Kivumbi ow'e Masuliita mwami wa ggombolola balayira ne bakuuta akalevu n'abagambye mu muggalire era ssebo musango mugulondoole abonerezebwe. Waliwo ne Ssaaba waali w'eggombe wano ng'ewakisu yatunze ebibanja bandetedde emigugu bwegiti egy'endagaano z'ebibanja byatunze n'abagambye bamunoonyerezeeko obujulizi bwe bumuluma mugende mu muggalire. Era abo abaami abatunda ettaka lya Kabaka bagobeddwa mu bwami. Ekyo kiragiro ssebo genda okiteeke mu nkola.
Katikkiro era ategeezezza Obuganda nga bwe bagenda okuddiza ensimbi abo bonna abaagula ku ttaka ly'Ewamala ery'Amasiro kubanga ettaka lino teritundibwa.
Naye kyasaliddwawo abantu bano baddizibwe ssente zaabwe olw'okwagala okutaakiriza ettaka ly'Amasiro.
Mayiga era ategeezezza gavumenti nga bw'eri mu nteekateeka y'okulongoosereza ssemateeka w'eggwanga nti yo Buganda yakusigala ku mulamwa gwayo ogw'ebyaffe.
Enkyukakyuka ezireetebwa bwe zinaagenderera okusaabulula essuula erambika obukulembeze obw'ensikirano tetujja kuzaaniriza, mu butuufu tujja kuziwakanya. Buganda byeyagala bituyita ebyaffe ebya ennene bisobola okufunzibwa mu nsonga ssemasonga 5 ze twogeddeko emirundi n'emirundi.
Munera mwatadde n'omulimu gw'okuddiza Buganda enfuga eya federo kubanga kiyolesebwa nti enfuga yokka esobola okutereeza eggwanga.
Federo tikiriiko bukugu bwa njawulo bagenda ne batutiisatiisa. Mumanyi kye kitegeeza ebya federo tebiringa gano saayansi atwala abantu ku mwezi. Ebya federo byangu nnyo byakugabana buyinza. Byangu nnyo. Buli ludda ne luba n'ebyalwo awatali kuyingirira lunnaalwo.
Bino byonna okubyogera abadde mu kuwuliriza embalirira ya gavumenti ya Buganda ey'omwaka 2014-15 ebadde esomerwa eri olukiiko lwa Buganda. Minisita avunaanyizibwa ku ggwanika lya Buganda Eva Nagawa ategeezezza olukiiko nti embalirira eno yakuwementa obuwumbi bwa siringi za Uganda 7 n'ezisobamu wabula nga wateereddwawo empagi 7 ezigenda okuvaamu ensimbi zino.
N'olwekyo nga oggyeko okugaziya amakubo agayingiza ssente mu ggwanika ebinassibwako essira mu mwaka gw'embalirira eno bitunuulidde emirimu eginyweza obumu mu bantu.
Kuno kuliko ekitongole ky'ettaka ekya Buganda Land Board, amasomero, abapangisa ba Buganda, amakampuni g'Obwakabaka, minisitule ez'enjawulo, ebitongole ebigabirira obuyambi, ssaako n'ensimbi ezibanjibwa gavumenti eya wakati. Kyokka era ekitongole kya Buganda Land Board kikyalina omulimu gw'okulondoola ettaka eriri ku byapa gavumenti bye yaddiza Buganda kibasobozesa okumanya ensimbi ezisobola okuvaamu. Dini Lobo Sava, NTV Akawungeezi.
Waawe NTV Akawungeezi. Poliisi emaanyi mu disitulikiti y'Emityana enoonya Noah Batte ono wa myaka 38 agambibwa nti yazze ku mukyala we Christine Najjuko n'amutemaatema ebiso ebyamulese ng'alebaleba. Kigambibwa nti bino bituusewo ku makya olunaku olwaleero luno lwennyini. Batte bw'alumbye mukazi we ku lubimbi gy'abadde alima n'amutema amajambi ag'okumukumu ng'amutebereza okubaliga.
Christine Najjuko asangiddwa mu ddwaliro ekkulu ery'Emityana ng'apokya na biwundu oluvannyuma lwa bba Noah Batte okumukakkanako n'amutemaatema. Ettemu lino libadde ku kyalo Kamuli ekisangibwa mu ggombolola y'Emaanyi Emityana. Nowa Bate agambibwa okulumba mukyala we Christine Najjuko w'emyaka 21 ku lulimbi n'amutema ejjambiya emirundi egiwerako.
Saasoose kukyegendereza bw'ali mu kutema nga bali ali mu kkubisa jjambiya gyetakola ki gyetatema ezola omusaayi guvaamu ezola gyezirukidde ejo ne bagisiba
ebakyankala n'awaka nenjija nesanga mwalimu ga muwala kubuule nti wesonyiwa ebigambo bwetulenga waka ewuwa otye ebyo eŋŋambo tebikola era neŋŋamba ne mutwana wange yalwe nemugamba olekera awo eŋŋambo bayamukubamuko.
Kigambibwa nti batte okutuuka okukola ettemu lino aludde nga yeewerera mukyala we nga bw'ajja okumukolako obulabe nga muteebereza okuganza omulaalo Stephen Kyagulanyi.
Omusajja oyo gwagamba nti njagala omusajja namuwa ssente z'amata gina omwana akyalyo kuba yava ku mabeere nga wa myezi 9.
Wabula Najjuko agamba nti ono amusibako matu ga mbuzi kumuliisango. Mu kiseera kino Najjuko ajjanjabibwa mu ddwaliro ekkulu ery'Emityana. Ye batta akyekukumye nga ne gye buli eno poliisi ekyamuyigga.
Abatuuze b'Ekinawatako okumpi ne Kampala wakati abaliraanye oluguudo lw'eggaali y'omukka bategeeza nga baliko ekiwandiiko kye babaga bakitwalire ababaka mu Parliament nga bawakanya ekiragiro kya KCCA kibagoba. Wiiki ewedde KCCA yalagira abantu abali mu mita 30 okuva ku luguudo lw'eggaali nti balina okuva mu bifo ebyo. Abantu kye bagamba nti si kituufu.
Ettaka lyatugobako si lya KCCA. Obadde kyembakola ki? Kyembategeeza nti lyaleerwe. Naye naawe ali wooli nga toyina kyapa. Era omukyalo oyo ajja kujja baaba, ajja kugobayo naawe ajja kusangayo.
Tusuubira nti singa banaaba abakulu bamemba ba Parliament oba baminisita nga bakikwatidde wamu bajja kusobola okutubuulira nti kakati kino kiri bwe kiti na kino kiri bwe kiti.
Bo batunda leerwe nga ffe twagula okuva ku management yaliwo enkadde eyaleerwe. Singa baali bamanyi nti ttaka lyaleerwe tebanditukiriza kola ki kulizimbako. Banditugambye ino ttaka lyaffe liryakwata wadde lwataano lwa muntu.
Ekyo kintu nyogera nga ali munyiivu abakulumba tujja mulumba waali. Nera waali singa badalinga wadde na bomu zenkiriza nifa. Ennyumba nyazimbe rumu 5 eyamba abaana baliko abasigaddewo esaawa zinu bangobewo ng'embwa abaana bange tibasome abaana bange bakyali bato.
Ewiiki eno yennyini tukole ekiwandiiko kitereezebwe bulungi n'abakulu bano nga batuyambako Parliament ekifune mu bwangu ddala era balabe obwetaavu bwekyetaagisa mangu okukitunulamu bakiteeseeko mu bwangu.
Bagera gisimba emyaka nga 10 okuva mu Mbasa paka wano. Kye balina okukola kyatwongera akadde omuntu yeseetinge alabe wagenda.
Mu byemizannyo olwaleero ab'ekibiina ekifuga omuzannyo gwa mmotoka ez'empaka batubulidde nga bwe bagenda okwongera amaanyi mu nteekateeka ez'okuvuga mmotoka zino. Bagamba nti baagala bazuula enguudo ezitabeerako nnyo bantu kwe bayinza okuvugira emmotoka ne watabeerawo obulabe nga bwe gwali ku nkomerero ya wiiki gye tukubye amabega mmotoka bwe yatomera abantu nettirawo 2. Omuntu waffe ayogeddeko n'omukulu w'ekibiina kino katwongere okufuna ebisingawo.
Pulezidenti w'ekibiina ki FMU ekifuga omuzannyo gwa mmotoka z'empaka mu ggwanga Jack Wava munna agamba nti akabenje akaguddewo olunaku lwajjo mu bitundu by'Eziroobwe kabawadde okusoomozebwa kunene okulaba nga bongera amaanyi mu nteekateeka ez'okujja omuzannyo gwa mmotoka z'empaka mu makubo g'olukale.
Tugenda kutandika kuvugira mu bibira, ku mafaamu, ranchi z'abantu, mu bikajjo. Tugenda kuddayo mu bikajjo mujjukira edda twavugirangako mu bikajjo e Lugazi ne Kakira n'awalala wonna awatali bantu.
Mmotoka y'empaka eyabadde evugibwa Umar Dawuda ng'ayambibwako Hamuza Kakande yatomedde abantu Eziroobwe n'ereka ng'abaana 2 bafiiriddewo ate ng'abalala balumiziddwa bya nsusso. Wabula wadde nga bakulembera omuzannyo guno ebyabaddewo bakyabitwala ng'akabadde akabenje bagamba nti bakuyimiriza ddereeva wa mmotoka ono n'omuyambi we okumala ekiseera.
Federation tubadde tulowooza nti drive oyo yandigize awummulamu kubanga yalabise nti naye ekyokukoona abantu abo kyamugye mu mbeera era abamulabyeko bagandi bamulabye ng'akaaba ebiwoobe biki kakati badde tujja tusaba ffe tuteesa nga federation tujja kugira tumusaba agira aleka okuvuga.
wava munneera agamba nti okusoomoozebwa okusinga obunene kwe kwaba abawagizi abangi abeeyiwa mu bifo awavugirwa mmotoka z'empaka ate ng'abamu oluusi si beetegefu kuwuliriza bakwasisa mateeka. Mu kiseera kino abalwadde abatumiddwa bagambibwa okuba nga bagenda bakuba ku matu wadde nga babiri ku bo bakyali mu kasenga awajjanjabirwa abayi. Sam Mpoza, NTV Akawungeezi.
Mu Uganda kickboxing akulira ku misinde gya yiriyiri ekintu ekikwasizza ekinyegenyega akulira omuzannyo guno mu nsi yonna ayitibwa Rosemary Staven. Omukulu ono ajja akubye enkambi mu Uganda yongera okukwasizaako bannayuganda abali mu muzannyo guno okugukuza. Agenda kusooka kwenyigira mu kutegeka olulwana wakati wa Alex Masiko agenda okutunka ne Sugi Staven okuva mu Hungary nga 25 omwezi guno.
Omuhangale Rosemary Staven akulira ekitongole kya kickboxing owabalwanira ensimbi mu nsi yonna asikiriziddwa okwenyigira mu nteekateeka z'omuzannyo guno mu Uganda olw'ebitone byagamba nti bifa ttogge. Omukulu ono wakutandikirawo n'okuteekateeka olulwana lw'omusipi gw'ensi yonna nga munnayuganda Alex Masiko atunka n'omuhangale Sugi Staven. Mu kiseera kyekimu omukungu ono era ategeka olulwana lw'abakyala olwokubiri mu ggwanga olugenda okubeera wakati wa Patricia Apoloti ne Jacqueline Nasimbwa nga balwanirira omusipi gw'eggwanga. Omusipi guno Apoloti yaguwangula omwaka oguwedde oluvannyuma lw'okuba Nasimbwa mu luzannya olusooka.
Wadde luli yampanguza weight kati nkoze amaanyi nkoze training yonna kokiwa nga nkozesa training yonna kokisaddaaki nteekwa okuba omuwala ono nteekwa omuggyako omusipi guno.
Ennwana zino ezigenda okuggulwawo n'ezitali za musipi endala 9 za kubeera e Lugogo mu Arena nga 25 omwezi guno. Sam Mpoza, NTV Akawungeezi.
NTV Akawungeezi. Mu byemizannyo ebirala World Cup eddamu olunaku olw'enkya naye kati kikakafu Brazil egenda kuzanya nga emunyenye yaabwe Neymar talimu. Neymar ono yafuna obuvune bwe baali bazanya ne Colombia obw'amaanyi ennyo ku mugongo era nga tajja kusobola kwetaba mu luzannyo olw'enkya ne Germany.
Brazil tejja kuba na muyizi tasubwa waabwe Neymar nga bambalagana ne Germany olunaku lw'enkya. Joachim Low yakatuuka kuza quarter finals mu World Cup emirundi 3 nga yasembayo kuzituukako mu 2010. Bannantameggwa b'omwaka ogwo aba Spain be baziwangula.
Germany just know how.
NTV, turning on your world. Sometimes children have amazing ideas, but they can lead to tough stains. And for tough stains, there's new Omo Fast Action. Its super fast cleaning technology removes stains fast. New Omo, no one removes tough stains faster. Today's highlight with
Nice and Lovely Body Lotion.
Oh, that's nice. Estella always comes first, doesn't she?
Grandma, don't be so grumpy.
I can't accept your constant indecision. First it's Estella, then it's Manuela. Oh, see? Try to stand on 2 canoes and you'll end up in the water.
Well,
name your price and I'll pay whatever you want so you'll leave my son alone. Hooker.
You bring out the best in me. New and improved Nice and Lovely Body Lotion. The 24-hour skin moisturizer that's your skin's best friend. The best in me.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
We are born with the rise of the curtain and we die with its fall. But every new night, we get an opportunity to write our new creation. And this morning, it's your opportunity to get started on whatever creation you have. Morning at NTV is ready to make sure that you get started power-packed with Joel Senyonyi, Simon Kisiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and I, Brian Mulondo. Let's get started with the question of the day. Facebook is open, Morning at NTV, and of course Twitter at Morning at NTV. Also use your SMS platform and send the SMS to 6565. Good luck to everyone. This Morning at NTV Mag could be yours for the taking. Of course, feel free to tag us on our individual handles at MBGold2 and at Joel Senyonyi, at Kasiate, at Dakabachigong, and of course at NTV Uganda. Now, Mabel, this morning I found out that I was nominated for the Kadanke Youth Festival for Best Male TV Personality. Have stage names like Isma Katsi, Tafo Bay. So I'm also looking for a stage name, maybe London or Mulo or Bula. So maybe this morning the viewers would help me with the stage name. What would be your suggestion?
Actually, I like MB Gold. I think it's really good. MB Gold, just that. I mean, I think that's good as a stage name. Welcome to Morning at NTV. Thank you for joining us both on air and on the line. The show, indeed, that starts your morning today is Tuesday, the 8th of July. Now, heading straight into the news as the Army and police continue to monitor the situation.
It's early morning and tension hangs in the air here in Bundibujo district in western Uganda near Kasese. This followed rumors that a group of assailants who struck on Saturday afternoon had regrouped in the Rwenzori Mountains and were planning to launch another attack on Bundibujo town. Some of the residents could be seen fleeing for their dear life, running to seek refuge at the nearest police station, while others quickly locked themselves in their houses in fear. In no time, soldiers and police moved in to take control of the situation in Bundibujo town. Bullets began flying in the air.
I'm going to kill my person here. Wanaona namna gani RDC? Hawa wanapiga RDC kabisa namna gani?
Bundibujo resident district commissioner Pius Mujusi was caught in the crossfire. The RDC who was shot in the leg was rushed to hospital.
Unfortunately, the shot was not coming from the enemy. We are trying to identify what was the problem, and he's not in bad conditions because the shot he was shot on his side.
Later in the afternoon, the Rwenzori Region Army spokesperson came out to explain the current state of affairs.
Our intelligence will assist us to know what is behind it. We shall get to know, and we shall have to handle that.
Last night, the Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kaihura, who rushed to Bundibujo, condemned the Saturday attacks and vowed to arrest the perpetrators.
We're going to do whatever it takes to arrest them, and really, they will be dealt with by the law. This one is not something that you can just gloss over. It was very tragic for the country that this could happen.
The police chief also commended the local security forces for the way they handled the situation.
The UPDF obviously played a very big role. We had a small police presence. We have now reinforced it. But even the police who were there did their best. And we lost an OC station who was murdered in cold blood.
The death toll from the attacks now stands at slightly over 60 in Bundibujo, while at least 80 suspects have been arrested and detained. For now, peace and calm have been restored in Bundibujo town. Just a while ago, we saw some of the people who had gone to seek refuge at the police station leave the place, and some shops have now been opened. People are now moving on the streets freely as the police and army continue to carry out investigations. Suhail Mugabi, NTV, Bundibujo.
The police have arrested 2 cultural leaders from the Rwenzori Kingdom in connection with Saturday's attacks in Kasese and Bundibujo districts. Police spokesperson Fred Enaga told NTV that the duo is under interrogation in regard to the suspected participation of veterans or former soldiers in the attacks. The militias fled with 22 guns while police have made more arrests. Solomon Kawesa has more on that story.
Since the onset of what security has described as tribal clashes in the western Uganda districts of Kasese, Bundibujo and Toroko, many questions have been raised, but no clear answers have been given on who was behind the attacks and why. Now, the latest reports claim that the assailants were mostly former soldiers, commonly known as veterans.
And so many veterans were involved in this attack. Veterans who had actually left and retired or had been discharged from the army.
It's for this reason that 2 cultural leaders from the Obusingaba Rwenzori Kingdom have been arrested to help with investigations. They include Prime Minister Jeremiah Mtoro and the head of veterans, Misali Mokwenda.
We have a lot of questions, of course, to put to him on the participation of veterans who are actually under his docket in the ministry, under the kingdom.
At least 22 guns were taken by the militias who left 17 people dead. The number of arrests has also shot up.
We have 80 arrests of the attackers, and we are getting to screen them and also process them.
The latest news from Kasese is that the situation remains tense. Police and the army have refuted claims that the assailants could have been part of the Allied Democratic Forces rebels who could have resurged. Meanwhile, police are holding two suspects in connection with the recent attacks on a church in Chegegwa district that left 2 people dead and scores injured. The 2 men include 28-year-old Abdusalam Akuzimana and Sylvester Zazimana, who were picked up from Ibambaro Forest in Chenjojo district.
They admit that yes, they did carry out the assault and the attack on Mungu Mwema Pentecostal Church.
These latest arrests bring to 10 the number in custody over the Chegegwa attacks. One of the assailants was killed in an army raid on their camp a few days ago. Solomon Kawesa, NTV.
A number of lawmakers are doubting whether the clashes in Bundibujo and Kasese districts can be blamed on tribal conflict. But the legislators now want the Ministers of Defense and Internal Affairs to give a comprehensive statement on the clashes to assure the country that the situation is under control. Meanwhile, a group calling themselves the Basongora Youth Development Association stormed Parliament demanding that government protects the Basongora community from undue attack from other, more powerful tribes. NTV's Maurice Ochol has that report from Parliament.
Following the attacks in Bundibujo, Kasese, Ntoroko districts, lawmakers have raised concern over the death. They now want the Ministers of Defense and Internal Affairs to give a comprehensive explanation on what went wrong and the measures being taken to restore normalcy. Some of the MPs claim that government could have ignored warning signs of possible insecurity, especially since the area has been rebel-prone to boundary conflicts and attacks from the Allied Democratic Front, ADF rebels.
Because the moment there is a problem, there is misunderstandings between the cultures, definitely even the ADF, the ADF which have been hiding in those hills, they can come out.
The government should come and tell us what exactly is happening. The country has to know, because what is happening is beyond what we are listening.
Some legislators argue that the signs point to possible resurgence of the ADF, who the National Army, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF, rooted over 10 years ago from the Rwenzori region.
There have all been fears and all that ADF is reorganizing, given also what was happening in that eastern part of Congo. So to me, government should not relax. This is just ADF at work.
They have been staying peacefully, but now, why is it that these fights are there, the killings are there, and the government's downplaying? How can someone who is armed with a spear, kill a soldier who is, in fact, soldiers?
To say that a tribal conflict has resulted into attacking also security agencies.
But others want some sections of security agencies investigated for failing to detect pockets of insecurity in time. What is not clear from most of the legislators is that by the time this happened, where was government intelligence and also the forces?
I believe government must come up and own up that they never had adequate intelligence on what was cooking up and what subsequently happened.
There are other people who are trying to use the weakness within the kingdom and the district, as per now, to take advantage of the disorganization that is there.
Following the recent controversial enthronement of a king for the Bamba in Bundibujo, some lawmakers want deeper discussions onto the issue of cultural institutions, with focus on who gets a culture leader and whether government should recognize the new leaders.
And if such things continue, then we might have to see ways of beginning to address problems of these cultural institutions.
As a committee of gender, we must interest ourselves in. As Ugandans, this genocide is unacceptable.
Meanwhile, A group of youth calling themselves Basongora Youth Development Association stormed Parliament with placards denouncing some leaders of Kasese and blaming them for chaos. The youth asked government to protect the pastoralists, Basongora community from discrimination.
You must know that this is not ADF. They are not ADF activities. They are simply activities of some government officials.
But police blocked the youth from accessing the parliamentary buildings. 20 of them were arrested and taken to Central Police Station, while 2 of their leaders were detained at Parliament but were released shortly after. More research all NTV at Parliament.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. We now cross over to the gentleman on the other side of the Serena Hotel. Good morning, gentlemen. Simon, good to see you back. There's a big game tonight. There's a big game tonight, Simon.
Thank you very much, and nice to see you again. And yes, I'm looking forward to the big game tonight. For as long as it's not past 11 p.m. after, I'm not yet so sure what time the game will be. You will appreciate that's how much of a soccer fan I am. But of course, knowing that it's Germany and Brazil, it's an epic and mouth-watering, encounter. Germany, of course, are favorites to win this cup from some quarters. You know, Germany and their precision. And of course, you know that Brazil is the home team which has got the 12th man advantage. But of course, with the disadvantage of having their top scoring machine, Niema. So we are looking forward to that. But of course, if you ask me for my personal whim and fancy at the end of this game, I wish it good for the Germans. A very good morning, and yes, if you're just joining us from wherever you are catching us live on your TV sets, we're coming to you from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, and this is the 8th day of July 2014, and yes, we are bringing to you what's making it in the headlines, the Daily Monitor and the Red Paper. My name is Simon Kasiate. I'm joined by my well-dressed red gentleman this morning. For once, I'm asking which band they sing for. There's a bit of red in every one of them. Is it a lovey-dovey morning? Gentlemen, good morning. Joel, good morning.
Yeah,
Brian.
Good morning. Is it you was explaining that you see certain, you see that top shopping places in town where they, buy stuff in dozens and that kind of thing. It's only Mifumba where you find one of its own, yeah? So we bought together to the other 10 now with some other top dogs. They're probably sleeping in Serena this morning.
Well, there you have it the other day. Of course, I was telling people that I've got 15 kilograms of ties and that you can only get them from a top-notch.
Sell in the water.
We sell it in the water. We're trying, of course, to keep it as, nice and upbeat Tuesday morning, in as much as we know that it's not good news coming in from the western part of the country, where alleged tribal clashes are claiming more people by the day in the districts of Kasese and Bundubujo. And we're waking up to a headline in the Daily Monitor telling us that the death toll has now hit 90 in the Renzori crashes.
Yesterday when I was talking to the deputy police spokesperson, Pauline Amai, she was telling me, look, the number is at 106. That was as of yesterday. So I'm not too sure what the papers are reporting, because one paper was talking of 60, another was talking of 72. But they've done their calculations. As of yesterday morning, it was at 106. One would imagine it can only get higher. So if we're talking of 90...
and I have a feeling you may find that the number may actually be at 200. But the police, of course, and the army downplays it because we doesn't want to scare us about the scores.
How about the fact that the numbers could be at 50, but we in the media are trying to exaggerate them so that we can create some kind of room to sell.
But the police spokesperson yesterday told me 106 on the show yesterday morning.
Our Daily Monitor says 90, so who is downplaying?
Well, I would imagine, because normally police like to downplay the numbers.
But, whatever it is, even if it were just one person, folks, I think the loss of even one life is deplorable. And I see in the report this morning, they're telling us about the untold story. Could it be what it is that is causing these kind of skirmishes, or it's another story altogether?
One of 300 Ugandan girls dropped in Kuwait. Look, we are having so many happenings. Ugandan girls, the other day it was one of those other countries and so on. They are taken apparently to go and work. And then they get there and the kind of work they go to work to do is not exactly what they signed up for. We need to investigate this. And for me, I was saying, look, as we do that, can we also do it domestically? Because this happens here as well. It's not enough for us to get livid and enraged because our girls are being ill-treated in Kuwait and wherever else. Yet here on our own turf, we are doing the same.
Well, there we have it. Now, government of Uganda is going full blast and firing from all 4 cylinders in regard to explain to the international community what it is that is contained in the anti-homosexuality law. The Minister of Foreign Affairs yesterday did issue a statement to some of our, friends across the international sphere that the enactment of this law was misunderstood. This law was meant to preserve the traditional heterogeneous or homogeneous. You'll pardon me for the words here, but the traditional nuclear family and, of course, safeguarding our children from what is considered the un-Ugandan vice of homosexuality. Nothing like witch hunting people who are gay, or even denying them social services, or even denying them jobs like working on televisions like we are doing.
It's interesting what the lizard here says. The lizard does ask, was it written in Swahili or English?
Because many people seem to have misinterpreted it.
And you see, for me, that's the question I also have. We are seeing government kind of going back on its position. What is so unclear about the bill, the law? What is so unclear?
I think government...
The law actually says that you will be punished if you're caught. So why are we saying they misunderstood?
No, but you see, the law does not say if Brian Mulondo is a homosexual, he will be denied medical services at Mulago Hospital. That when I meet Brian Mulondo, I will simply just beat him and bludgeon him to death.
But Brian Mulondo will be presented in court and charged.
Yes, but you see, just like Simon Kasiate Brigand would be charged in court, but that does not mean that you'll be denied other rights. We must understand that our society has set a certain bar with regard to moral turpitude, that we can withstand corrupt officials, but we cannot stand someone who loves another man. So that is who we are, and that's what the international community should take us for what we are, that we have for God and my country as our national motto, but the actions of our leaders, and we even the led, don't seem to really give any glory to God. But that is it. We have it on our motto, and this is how we behave. So they better understand us the way we are. They should not misunderstand us. To think that being for God and my country, we are a communion of saints in Uganda.
You should have heard, there is sentiment that the alleged changes to the national anthem is intended to slowly but surely knock out the elements of God. Now, that might not necessarily be true, but there's many Ugandans that are very concerned. They're thinking, look, is it what we are up to exactly? Because these guys are telling us, look, we want to put a bit of swagger and that kind of thing and stuff.
You know, the national anthem thing is a bit, I'll definitely be one of the people at the forefront of putting up placards. But I can promise you, unless NRM legislators are taken to Changwas and given money to change the national anthem. But that will
my intelligence is moving away from the fact that this national anthem is actually going to be changed. I am told there is someone who, after releasing that one-hit wonder of 30 Years of Bananas, he is planning
30 to... was it 50? Whatever.
Well, you can even call it half a year of bananas, or an everlasting eternity of bananas.
You're talking about Alex Mokolo.
Without a doubt. I am told that he is planning another epic production called the National Anthem, which he now is riding on the controversy and the brouhaha that we are creating over the national anthem change, so that it can bring in numbers to the National Theatre to attend his show. Well, if that be the truth, fair enough, you have hit us with the master stroke of marketing genius. But should you at any one time be moving towards removing God, or putting a rap beat into our anthem, or adulterating it, or what do you call it, what they do to these female genitalia? Mutilate, if you want to mutilate our whatever. Alex Mukuru, no. That one will
he will be cast. Someone will cast him.
Well, President Museveni is telling Ugandans that you must use government projects to fight poverty. Of course, what else would you use to fight poverty, Mr. President?
And the president here does say, it's interesting, I have to read from your monitor. For some reason, some people decided to give us only one copy of the Daily Monitor. Sometimes but the president does say here that development does not just mean you being rich. You might celebrate that the road is finally going to be constructed. How about in your homes? What have you done for your celebs?
I keep telling you that, but many of you say government must also come to your home and do it for you. Make your wife pregnant, clothe her, help her deliver, and even provide food for your 20 children when you are even not able to feed your own self.
But I've always said that the government has shot itself in the foot. It has conditioned people. It has made people believe that it will take care of them.
How come for you, Brian Mulondo? You don't belong to this.
I am one of the very few Ugandans who think that President Museveni will not give me any
Exactly.
I will provide tax.
Beautiful.
That's all.
So I would want you to use your privileged position and knowledge to tell other gullible Ugandans that, look, like me, Brian Monondo, I'm able to fend for my family. You're extremely masculine and very hardworking, even sexually. But you have one child, having been married for more than 3 years. There are people who you are barely washed your shirt that you used to attend their wedding, and they have 3 children, telling you mother and child.
With 3 women.
Well, now that there's also that. So please, let's use our privileged position that we are able to speak to Ugandans every morning and tell them, look, government can only do so much, but the bulk of the responsibility on your livelihood lies squarely on you as an individual to fend for, especially the men out there. I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist here. You've got unresponsible chaps walking the streets of this country, unable to provide the very basics of their own family. And then they sit back and say, Saba government, I think there's an extent to which we can resort to government to Yambi.
I think there's need to be,
yes,
there's need for concerted efforts. As we talk about, guys, be responsible, don't bite off more than you can chew. Government needs to do the same. I'll tell you, there's people who will believe, they literally drink from the hands of government. Whatever that government does say, they take it as it is. So if we have government officials, including the founder of owner, His Excellency the President, saying, look, a bigger population is good for our economy, it creates a bigger market. I think that is deleterious. It is not true, especially if this population is not a quality population. You just have them all over the place. They'll not buy the goods, the commodities as you expect them to. So we need to be very careful, I think.
I know this guy. There's sad news coming in the Daily Monitor of the death of Robert Wandera Mwembe, who has been an upcoming serious expert in regard to oil and gas, and this is very sad news coming to us. He died in he did die in a motor accident yesterday. Now there is a center spread edition of Kasese Bundibujo death toll rising to 19, politicians being blamed, and about 500 people rounded up in the Kasese operation.
I want to, this time,
actually, I think the red paper here reports about what? 200 of them have been arrested.
Well, the truth is that these attacks, indeed, as the Daily Monitor does report, have been laced with tribal history. And I'm asking myself, in this day and age, where, indeed, like Joel always says it here on this show, that first, you need to identify yourself as a Ugandan, and then second, you can go down and retreat into your small little groupings, which do not so much make sense with regard to what it has an impact on you. I mean, Brian, you are what you are, regardless of what tribe you would have been. You would have been anything except that maybe your name would have been different. And so the fact that you and I should tussle it out because you speak a local dialect that is not mine, it really should be inconsequential. And I think that's the message we should tell Ugandans, especially those who are watching us from the comforts of their homes in Kasese and Bundibujo, that come on, we are all Ugandans first and foremost, and it doesn't make a difference whether one is shorter than the other, whether one has a wider nose than the other, whether one has a lighter complexion. We are all the same, and we should never have that exaggerated sense of self-worth simply because we speak a different language, or we believe in a different God, or we actually practice different kind of traditions.
And you know the circumstances, unfortunately, surrounding culture and tribalism in this country are even growing more, they're becoming bigger day by day. But when you look at, say, for example, Buganda, Bunyoro, and the Acholi and their organization, it kind of takes away from places like Rwenzori. So when the president goes and gives, consecrates a new leader, and the other,
interesting how you're putting it.
The other
team consecrate, not the people.
Well, the other team, the other tribe feels left out. If the excuse for this clash is tribal, conflict, then it kind of makes sense.
You doesn't make sense. These tribes
I am not justifying the conflict, but why are you
Of course you are not. But you see, what I'm saying is, there are tribes in this country that do not have a tribal leader, a figurative tribal leader.
Probably they're too small to fight for it.
What are you talking about? There is a group of people called Bachiga who have colonized Toro, who have colonized Bunyoro, who have spread this whole country. Wait a minute.
Who have you guys are not, because you probably can't stand being led by anyone.
All of us have leaders. We have populated this country. We produce every single day, but we live harmoniously with not because we have a king. I mean, you can really survive without a titular guy up there, because at the end of the day, anyway, what has that king got to do with the personal survival in your own home? Yes, you revere your king in this part of the country, but for the most part, I see you give the king as opposed to the king give you. So I think people need to understand that you determine your own destiny, and you must not kill somebody because they have a king in their own tribe.
But you see, I imagine that's tangential to the real issue here, whether or not they have a king. the fact is that these tribal groupings now are becoming preponderant over the others. They're beginning to marginalize them, roughshod over them, because now they feel we have arrived. And that is what, you know, they were called, for example, before they, you know, the Rwenzururu kingdom got established, they felt, no, Toro is marginalizing us, they keep sidestepping us, they keep hounding us, and that kind of thing. And so they determined, let's have a king
Since
of
they
our
had
own.
the Rwenzururu king there, Charles Wembley, whatever.
And now he also began to roughshod over the others.
But I'm asking myself, to the ordinary Mukonzo, what has changed other than the mental feel that there is a guy called Wesley sitting in a palace somewhere?
Exactly, the mental feel.
Sucking blood out of them.
See the way it starts with the brain.
Anyway, I'm a Republicanist. I'm one of those who does not believe in this kind of thing.
Republican, you
have
always extricated yourself from Americans.
No, I'm putting it in the sense that I am not the kind of person that subscribes to, you know, monarchical arrangements of society. I'm the kind of person who believes that we are all should be Ugandans. Because I am not the best person to, you know, speak about on these matters, because I don't think that there is any guy there who I should revere in the sense that kings are revered as if he's got an extra.
But you see, Simon, the Kabaka does not feed me. But the fact that he's up there, I respect him because I'm a Muganda. I do not care whether the Kabaka cannot come to my home and give me money, so I have to work.
But you see, at the end of the day,
but you see, that is my culture, and I respect the Kabaka because
now we who don't
he's
belong
the head
to that,
of my
we
tribe.
don't belong that to respect that position of yours. But should you, Brian Mulondo, come to run roughshod over me simply because I do not belong to your tribe that is headed by the revered Kabaka?
That's what is happening.
That is where I would have a problem with you. That I should not be on the same podium with you simply because Tetwari Anganamwe. And that is the nonsense I strong. That's why there are some characters. Anyway,
and
Munyagwa and Sheikh Muzata out there exchanging words. And you see, at first I had great resentment towards the comical expressions of Munyagwa.
Of late he's becoming your hero of sorts.
But for me, compared to the docile and inept his counterpart from Nakawa, then clearly, I mean, I would rather have the comedian in Munyagwa who will go and lead prayers in the middle of a jungle.
Burn bushes.
Claim
It like what he was doing was witchcraft.
But I think
claim he has
total.
He claims that this is a man who can do. I mean, you expect, what do you expect from? Anyway, I don't want to use it. But what do you expect from Munyagwa? This is a man who went. There are stories. I mean, according to newspaper stories, when he went to Kwanjura, takes a car to the in-laws, and months later goes and picks it back because he had borrowed it. This is a man who, towards his election, went and feigned and kidnapping of sorts. He claimed he had been killed and kidnapped. He went and cut a chicken in the seat of his car, so that his blood stain found in his car where he had dumped it. This is a man who is full of nothing but self-drama. And then for Nuhu Muzata to come out and speak to him, I thought that is what religious leaders are supposed to do, that they should bring their folk into the line of duty. That's why I am a lay Catholic. You cannot be seeing me conferring, anointing the sick, giving Holy Communion and wedding couples, because
but
that
you have
is
the
the
power
role.
to do that.
No,
but you see, the complaint that these guys have is similar to what the Catholic leadership did have when this guy used the castle
double
in his
bed
song.
Exactly. So Munyagwa, for him to go and claim to be a sheikh and lead prayers in a jungle.
You know, and I'm not a Muslim, but Munyagwa did something that is so
But you see, that is
actually look like the holy man. You know, they were burning stuff
incense and all that. But you see, look, for Munyagwa, he is building what you call brand Munyagwa. I mean, for the most part...
What kind of brand is it?
Let me tell you one thing. If I, Simon Kasiati, who people see every morning on TV with my Suave and Debonair suits, stepped down on the podium in Kawempe to campaign, I would hardly get a single vote, because people there would think I am too serious to lead them. People will always go out for a guy who brings in a comical factor and all that. And I can tell you, this is the quintessential Ugandan politician. When you look at parliament, don't you see 100 Munyagwa seated in there, only that they don't have enough space? So
since you want to become mayor of Nakawa, or at least to front somebody, you probably need to begin putting on...
I am looking out for a guy who's going to wear striped socks and a hood like Haman Semuju to become mayor of Nakawa.
Now, in the red paper here, your friend Enanga, apparently his head is on the chopping block. He seems not to be the kind of police PRO that people have always looked forward to. He keeps cutting interviews. He's not out there like his predecessors are, and so there's rumors that...
But Fred Enanga is on television, in as much as he's got...
Well, for the press conferences,
he is I don't know, there's something about his composure that...
He's a calm, cool, easy guy.
Whether he's describing a murder so foul,
whether he's describing an epic operation gone successfully, whether he's describing the grisly death in Kasese, he will have the same level of composure, which I think for the most part we've been lacking in the public affairs. I mean, you guys, you're always hounding the other spokespersons
yeah,
of the presidency
and all that,
for their
who
fiery
just go out, open their mouths and say whatever it is that they want to say and keep abusing people. I think these guys need to style up. And me,
hey, wait a minute, we are talking about the calm and composed nature of Enanga.
Yeah, and of course we are juxtaposing him against these ones who go out huffing and puffing.
Maybe in
comparison,
anything
and everything.
You see, you're looking at extremes here. There is the Enanga type that are very composed, and then there is the Cantankerous type. Then there are those of us in the middle, like the guy at ESCO. So clearly you can see that.
No, but you see, the point here is, journalists are complaining that he lets them down at the 11th hour. He's meant to do an interview, and for some reason, either he chickens out or that's a complaint here, you know. But it goes for so many public servants.
In comparison to Senkumbi, Nabakoba, Simio, I think
you would call and say, come in 15 minutes and the guy will be
there. Enanga is...
All right,
well,
we wish you well, Fred Enanga.
Fred gets the message that you see with the press, you must, of course, but also having been on this other side where you are, you know, a communications person, I can tell you that being so very available to members of the press corps sometimes has its own adverse effects. They will make you and at the same time will drop you. Right. I think we've had enough banter with regard to what's in the local newspapers, in the Daily Monitor and the Red Paper this morning. We've got, of course, the Rainbow Magazine pullout, and very specifically for you, the young children who profess the Islamic faith. It's quite an interesting look into what you can do in the holy month of Ramadan. On the international scene, Mabel is standing by to give us stories in that realm. Mabel, what's going on beyond the Football World Cup? We're looking forward to Brazil and Germany tonight.
Yes, I am looking forward to that. I'm wondering which team I'll support. Not too sure if it will be German, probably Brazil, but may the best team win. Starting off with the CNN page, Israel calls up reservists as rockets fly. Tensions in the area are rising. We have seen a lot of this between Israel and Hamas. The region is really very tense at the moment. The big story still on the BBC World page. Israel launches new airstrikes on Gaza Strip following dozens of rockets fired by the Palestinian Islamist movement, Hamas. The Israelis also retaliated, should I say. Also on BBC, a World Cup official, Britain, has been arrested for the illegal sale of World Cup tickets. Will this have an impact on what is happening already? I'm not too sure, because there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the tickets. This is a FIFA executive, a chief executive of a FIFA partner company. And he was arrested in a posh hotel, apparently, where Sepp Blatter is staying. I don't think it has any connection to him, though. And President Sisi of Egypt regrets the arrest of the Al Jazeera reporters. He says this is a case that should have never been put to trial. They're trying to reach some kind of compromise, obviously, with what happened there. Pistorius reenactment video was not illegally obtained. This is a message coming in from the Australian TV network that aired the footage of Pistorius reenacting the events. He was on his stumps as he stimulated, holding a shotgun and shooting his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp, whom he mistook as an intruder. On the Reuters page, Afghanistan's Abdallah rejects the election results as a coup against the people. The people of Afghanistan have gone to the polls, and Abdallah's camp rejected preliminary results of the runoff election on Monday as a coup. It was putting him against a dangerous collision course with his rival, Ashraf Ghani. On the Sky page, we still have the story of the Briton arrested in the World Cup touting probe, and a picture of him there as well. And the Tour de France and the selfie. Now, selfies are something that are, you know, getting more and more prominence. These bicycles, actually, the people on these bicycles can ride up to 45 kilometers per hour. And now it has actually become a problem to the cyclists, as people want to get as close as they can in order to take a selfie. And that is quite dangerous. We saw some people dying here in Uganda because of motor rallying, and with cycling we may also see something similar. And Ghana, does Ghana have Ebola? Well, a US citizen is being tested for the very deadly virus in Ghana, which has so far not had any confirmed outbreak of the disease. Over 450 people have died in the West African nations of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. And now we are seeing a suspect case in Ghana. We do hope it is just a suspect case and not the real thing. Well, Morning at NTV does continue right after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Babe, you know you are truly an angel.
Oh.
I love your walk, your smile, your laugh, everything. You know what else, babe?
What?
You smell. Oh no, I'm out of airtime. Shops are closed. I have to wait till tomorrow before I can get airtime. She'll think I was saying she smells.
Get airtime instantly with your phone.
What?
Just use Airtel Money. Dial *185 hash, select buy airtime, and follow the steps.
What?
Sorry, babe. My line got cut. I was just saying you smell better than any flower in the world.
If you need to top up airtime instantly, anytime, anywhere, just use Airtel Money. You also get bonus airtime with every top up made.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Thank you for joining us this Tuesday morning. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the problems I had while learning French in school was this masculine, feminine thing. I just couldn't understand how maybe a TV is masculine and a piece of paper is feminine. Well, I'm not sure if those are the questions Simon will be asking our guest this morning, but we do have a French lady who will be joining us for the big story. Good morning, Simon.
Mabel, indeed, we do have a French lady clad complete in Le Bleu. Unfortunately, of course, Le Bleu is not in the World Cup anymore, and our commiserations to them. And there's no prizes for guessing who the French lady is with us on the big story this morning. We have Her Excellency, the French ambassador to Uganda, Mrs. Sophia Makame, with whom we'll be having a long discussion with regard to the upcoming Bastille Day, which is the French National Day, on the 14th of July. We'll be looking at several facets of French-Ugandan cooperation and, of course, looking at French business in Uganda. We'll be right back. Well, tout le monde bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, we have a very special guest. the French ambassador to Uganda, Mrs. Sophia Makame, and of course she's reigniting a little bit of my long rusted French, which I speak en pot, as they say. Bonjour madame.
Bonjour Simon.
Ça va?
Très bien, et vous? Merci de m'accueillir ici sur cette terrasse très agréable au petit matin.
S'il vous plaît, parlez l'anglais. Si
Yes.
tout le monde là-bas understand only English. So we'll speak
I will. We can split in Swahili if you want.
Well, a bit of Swahili will also do us some very great thing this morning. Welcome to this show, and yes, I can see that you're looking forward to Bastille Day, even with a dark cloud looming over every French head after the exit of the French national team from the World Cup. What are you preparing for us on Bastille Day this time around?
Yes, for the French, they have made a good run, I must say.
Without a doubt.
Yes, and above all, they have reconciled themselves after a sad episode, I would say, in South Africa with the French nation, and we have renewed with the spirit of 1998. So
Exactly.
it's a young team, and I think they still have some future, I would say. Don't forget that the European Championship will be in France in 2 years' time.
And
so
then the 12th man will certainly cheer them to victory and galvanize them for the next World Cup.
Exactly. It was, let's say it was a warm-up.
Quite a good warm-up, because you really went up
Yes,
to the quarterfinals, which is a very good warm-up.
But there are some others, EU team in competition still, and Germany and the Netherlands. And
So you're looking forward to an all-European final?
We'll see.
I'll leave that to my colleague Isma, who does the sports section of this show. But now let's look at French and Ugandan cooperation. Over the years, France has had a presence in Uganda at the highest level, diplomatic level, and you represent that at the moment. How can you just, roundly tell us of the health of Ugandan-French relations? Let's start from there.
Yes, I would just, before moving to this issue, take 2 seconds to tell you about Bastille Day.
Okay.
It will be the 225th anniversary commemoration of our National Day. And it's not only a day of leisure in midsummer, when very ritualized, where you have the military parade, the fireworks blooming, and the president's speech always expected by eminent colleagues of yours.
Yes.
It's a day where the nation stand and think about where it comes from, what is ahead of it, how does it want, and still be inspired by these 3 words, liberté, égalité, fraternité, which means freedom, equality, and fraternity, and how does it inspire its policy, its vision, and its relationship to the world. So it's a mixture of festive and reflective thinking.
Well, for a country that is only celebrating this year 52 years of independence, when we juxtapose that against the over 200 years of French independence, clearly we can see that we have a long way to celebrate and reflect as Uganda. But having appreciated that kind of mood that you set for Bastille Day, the celebrations and the reflection that there goes in, when you reflect now on Uganda-French relations, what would you tell us about the health, for example, at this point in time?
It's I would say, a very dynamic relationship, and the trend is encouraging. In 2 years' time, we have moved in terms of French economic presence in this region, which is not a region where we have been historically present. We have moved from 10 to 30 French companies set up in Uganda. Uganda has become our 2nd trading partner in East Africa, ahead of Tanzania. So the flow is, I would say, still modest, but increasing at a constant and very encouraging pace.
But some people will, of course, want to ask this question to you, since you are the ambassador of French here, that you're looking at French relations with Uganda, looking at it from the prism of mutual trade and benefit. But many times, as a European country that embodies the dictums of good governance and the issues around that, many times doesn't the absence of you know, the absence of proper articulation of good governance issues affect Uganda-French relations? You sometimes realize that maybe Uganda falls short of what it should do in the realm of good governance, and that sometimes may put your relations on a tilting block.
You know, I've mentioned first economic interests, mutual economic interests, at a time when the region aspirations are coming more explicit in terms of integration, because this is, I think, probably this is the first objective that the two ministers who met recently in Paris at the beginning of May have mentioned. They wish to cement their relationships in the investment and trade sectors. But I would say that this is possible for a very good reason, which is security, because the conditions in Uganda are safe today to ensure a proper development perspective. And I think that this is also a field where France and Uganda have a very, very close and converging interest. Uganda has been a strong regional actors dedicated to the stability of the region. France, as you know, has made security in Africa not divisible from its own security and from European security. We have
presence in the Central African Republic,
in Mali. It's not, I would say, a philanthropic enterprise. It's become, we do consider that your security is ours.
Indeed, we see French presence in the European Union training mission for Somalia that was based in Uganda,
exactly,
and now is in
and I would just,
Jazeera.
As you rightly say, I would just recall that, you know, the deployment of AMISOM in Somalia is through the African Union, supported by the European Peace Facility, and this is about finance on an average level of 19% by French taxpayers. So it's not only what we can offer in terms of bilateral military cooperation, and since 2006, I would just remind that 22,000 UPDF soldiers have been trained by French units from Djibouti. So there is quite a significant level of commitment bilaterally and multilaterally through the EU funding as well.
Well, Madam Ambassador, we see that the French Development Agency, on the other hand, continues to provide development cooperation to Uganda. And of course, there's been arguments left, right, and center. What is better? Development cooperation, what many would prefer to call aid, or mutual bilateral trade, as the increasing French companies seem to provide on the other hand. From where you sit, which way do you think we are going to increasingly go? Development cooperation or mutual trade? And if we go development cooperation in one facet, which facets are you looking at? Where are you channeling your money for development cooperation?
You know, Simon, I think the importance is the articulation and the combination of tools. And we tried to have, I would say, a consistent approach to development issues based on this range of different instruments. So you've mentioned French Development Agency, which is quite recent in Uganda, set up in 2009 with an average level of commitment of between 30 and 50 million euro. And the objective to increase this level of commitment to between 50 and 80 million euros, mainly in the energy infrastructure sectors. I mean by that rural electrification, water, sanitation, and management, and biodiversity conservation, which is a new area in which we want to increase our action. All this is combined with other types of intervention, more designed to sustain civil society efforts, through what we called a small-scale envelope of funds.
Okay.
And really this is where we shift the nature of our intervention in order to sustain projects dedicated to gender and environmental objectives.
Madam Ambassador, sorry to cut you short there, but
yeah, because I have just to finish and respond to your question. And one very good example, AFD, the French Development Agency, is engaged now in Kampala in the management of the water system and rehabilitation of the Gaba station, together with other partners, EU and Germany. And it happens that a French company has been chosen to implement this project, which is SOGEA. And this is an illustration of what you was referring to, articulation between state funding and private sector's involvement.
Well, there we have it, Madam Ambassador. But let's get down into the uncomfortable elephant in the room. A couple of months ago, your peers, and perhaps even the French, did, for the most part, announce that there will be some kind of drawback on development cooperation to Uganda, and even a bit of relations issues with the government of Uganda as a result of passing of certain laws that you did not find were in consonance with the respect of human rights. Where do we stand on that? Are you moving forward to normalize your relations with Uganda? Because you've just talked about a rosy relationship here, but the law is in place, it was already assented to law. So how do we balance that?
You know, first of all, I would not, I mean, the assumption that there has been a setback in terms of assistance is not right. First of all, as I have just mentioned, we don't provide direct budget funding. We use other type of instruments, and especially some who are designed to help civil society. So this is definitely not in the scope of being targeted, because it would be counterproductive to the people with whom we have set up commitments. But politically speaking, I think that we have been very clear about the way we receive the promulgation of the law. For us, I was referring to the motto of France, liberté, égalité.
Which is equality?
Yes, equality.
And
yes, but it means that freedom and equality cannot be dissociated. So we understand that this law has been passed, and this is a sovereign decision from Uganda, but we have also made known to the Ugandan authorities that this hurts our values, and that it's not for us a question of imposing any kind of social behavior, but the fact to recognize that each individual is part of a nation community and should not be discriminated. And we have seen, based on our continuous dialogue, this issue has been addressed at a high level in France with the foreign minister. We have seen that this dialogue is constructive, and that today there are some gestures, like yesterday the circulation of a statement, yes, reassuring, especially about the wish of the government of Uganda to ensure people's rights, to protect individual data, facilitate access to health sector, and deter mob justice, and recall that justice is a state prerogative, are going into the right direction. And
Madam Ambassador, that's well articulated. But now let's get down to the French motto and ask you what you think, or how Uganda fares if this motto were a Ugandan motto. Let's look at liberty.
Yes.
Many people in Uganda will say, well, you will possibly foam on the mouth and issue statements because rights of the certain minority group are not respected. Yet the bulk of Ugandans want to engage in political contestations. They want to show discontent over the political status quo, and their rights seem to be nipped in the bud. I mean, many times you've seen the government querying what Others would want to say demonstrations, others want to call them violent demonstrations, but it's clearly not a very free-willed political space of expression of dissent. Doesn't that bother you from where you sit that liberty in Uganda, from a political perspective, has not yet hit the mark?
Yes. I have in mind the words that President Hollande pronounced a few weeks ago when we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Normandy operation on June 6th. He addressed a group of heads of states and government saying freedom is never given. It's never a given fact. It's always a fight. And always men and women will have to stand to fight for it. And meaning it was referring, of course, to a special page of our history, where our freedom, our sovereignty has been threatened. But I think this is just to illustrate that it's not something given and you have to build it. And I think that
nobody gives it to you from outside. You have to give it a local solution.
Exactly, because your history is unique, and the way the process of nation building is unique as well. So I don't think that anybody can just come and teach about a nation building democratic process. It's to the people to have a sense of ownership and see how this freedom can expand in their own political and historical context. And I think this is like in soccer game.
Absolutely.
You need rules of engagements. So it's not just, liberty is not just meaning a free
there must be some
doing anything, but there are rules. And I often say that I do believe in the confrontation of ideas, but not in the confrontation of
on the streets.
Exactly.
Merci beaucoup, Madam Ambassador. Maybe
Merci,
since you tell me that you are very articulate in Kiswahili, we just have 5 seconds for you to salamia one, two.
Yes, so nataka kushukuru Simon, nimefurahi sana kuongea na wewe na natumai kama watu wa Uganda watasherehekea siku ya mataifa ya Ufaransa pamoja na sisi. So karibu tena.
Asante sana. We'll take a short break when we return, as Simon says. Well, there you've heard her, the excellence, Madam Ambassador from the French Embassy here, Mrs. Sophia Makame, very articulate, well composed, and of course sharing with us what the values of, the French motto do stand, and of course French-Ugandan relations. And of course what we need to take out of this is that liberty, equality, fraternity, this is what the French nation, that's what the French culture stands for. But we can borrow the same from it. And just like she said in her concluding remarks, yes, there is liberty. It's out there for us to enjoy and partake. But like every freedom, there are always rules of engagement. Just like I always say, there's freedom of movement, but there are laws on trespass. In other words, there must be rules of the game under which we play. But very importantly, that we can also take from that is that freedom is never given to us on a silver platter. It's fought for, and our fight is certainly, should be in semblance with our histories. But importantly, Uganda-French relations would never have been at an all-time high. I mean, clearly you can see French business in Uganda, and I think we should laud the model of the French-Ugandan relations, which are based largely on mutual trade as opposed to direct budget support, which is in one way or another, as opponents of development aid have argued, is spoon-feeding and doesn't give us the impetus to work and even have a discussion on the basis of equality. Because as equal and mutual business partners, we can sit down on the table and negotiate better than if we were on the receiving end of development cooperation, or what you may want to call bluntly as aid. We must congratulate the French on their, did you say 200 and what anniversary?
25.
225th anniversary of their liberation. Uganda, we're only celebrating 52 years of independence this year. I think that we need to have mentors like this for us to see how much we need to revere in these years, where we are coming from and where we need to be as a nation. Good morning. Have a productive day. And yes, God bless you. And of course, congratulations to the French ahead of the National Day celebrations.
Merci.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Ansari. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
Mubonyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, Derek, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Suarez. Super Suarez. Gonna backs it up.
Watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Morning at NTV does continue this morning, and I'm amazed by the French lady whose knowledge of languages clearly beats mine. Now I wanted to ask Brian a question. Someone sent in a message on Facebook. The screen has gone blank behind me. But Brian, can you hear me? A gentleman was asking, what do you do during this month of Ramadan when he's married to a Muslim woman and she goes home every time it's Ramadan for one whole month? He sent it to our Facebook page.
Well, I am not a Muslim, so I wouldn't know really about that. Maybe we'll ask Isma.
Okay.
And this morning on Everyday Life, we're going to look at the way businesses can profit from partnerships. Ideally, we are going to look at how also banks can help partnerships grow into business. And Ronald Kassa from Bank of Africa is here to share with us not just on how you can earn from your partnership, but also on the beauty about SME banking. Stay with us. Well, this morning we are going to look at how banks can support business growth through partnerships. Ronald Kassa from Bank of Africa, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Business Center Manager. Yes. I have insider information that you're setting up the business center. Tell us about what that is going to do for your clients.
That's right. Bank of Africa is coming up with an innovation to set up a business center that will comprise both corporate and SME banking customers. This is a solution for most of our customers, who are doing both corporate and SME business. Right. It is an innovative solution in the banking industry. Our center will be a one-stop point for all the business banking needs for all our customers. We believe that once we form that center, all the customers, we are going to improve the efficiency of the bank. We are going to improve our focus on the customers. We are going to improve our significance in the market, and we will be an impact bank in this market.
And banks keep talking about SME banking. What does that mean for the benefit of our viewers, and who benefits from SME banking?
SME banking, by definition, SME is an abbreviation for small, medium, and medium enterprises. Now, for the banks to concentrate on SME banking, SME customers, it is purely based on the fact that the SMEs influence the economy of this country. They consider around 60% of the entire economy, meaning that if the banks focus on the SMEs, they're actually focusing on the right segment in this market here. So the customers, there are quite a number of businesses that can benefit from the SME banking arrangement. All businesses that, SME, when you're looking at SME, you're focusing at customers, businesses which have challenges with capital, businesses that have challenges with access to financing, businesses that have challenges with management, businesses that have challenges with the suppliers. So you want to look at the entire scope of the sector to see how you can come in as a bank to support such a segment.
For a long time, banks have been supporting big businesses that probably churn out $1 billion shillings in profit. Has that failed for you? That's why you're focusing now on SME banking?
Not really. Like I said, SME forms the biggest segment of this market. Now, by focusing on the SMEs, we are actually contributing towards the growth of the economy. Now, we have the large businesses which are fetching quite huge profits in this market, which we consider to be corporates. Well, we are there, and we are supporting them. That's why I say that the business center is focusing both at the SMEs and the corporates. So our focus is not shifting completely from the corporates to the SMEs, but it is a focus that is intended to address the needs of both the corporates and the SMEs.
Let's look at partnerships, and this has become a huge problem because more and more people are either suing themselves for breach of contracts or dissolution of companies, and we thought people do not understand what partnerships are about and how banks can best support these partnerships.
Indeed.
For our viewers, help us first define, maybe in the banking language, what a partnership is and what it entails. What are the different types of partnerships?
Oh, that's a good question. But I will not use the banking language because it might be complicated for our viewers. But I will use a simple definition. When you and I come into a relationship to do business, we have formed a partnership. The partnership may take form of a relationship between individuals, or it may take form of a relationship between companies. Now, when you and I come into a relationship to do business, we must define the nature of business activities. We must define our terms and conditions, our obligations, our duties. We must define how we are going to share the profits in this business. Now, as you're defining the parameters of this partnership, you're actually forming a partnership deed. This deed is an agreement that helps you address any conflicts. Just like you stated, there's always a challenge between partnerships because sometimes there are conflicting interests. Sometimes there are different aspects. One partner may be much more powerful than the other partner by virtue of the capital they have injected in the business, and they think they can assume the entire partnership. They assume the responsibilities, they assume the profits, they assume the decisions in the partnership. So when you form the partnership agreement, it defines how you'll handle the conflicts in case anything arose. in case there is a dispute, how do you address this? In case you've made profits in the partnership, how do you share the profits? In case you've made the loss in the business, in a business transaction, how do you share the loss? So when you define this clearly, then the level of disagreement, the level of conflict, the level of breakup is usually reduced.
In the work that you do you find that people have actually come up with these agreements, or we basically assume and thrive on the gentleman's agreement? We say, yeah, Ronald, let's start business. If things fail, and then when we get the conflict, we're like, oh man, we didn't see this one coming.
Uganda has the biggest percentage of the Uganda economy is so much of an informal sector that if you have a good relationship, me and you, it is very rare that we will look at the pessimistic side of the relationship. We always look at the positive side.
Yeah.
Now, because of that relationship, we normally just say that, okay, Brian, let's get into this relationship here. We are going to do this deal. You may find that so many businesses will start that way, and then they define the course of action afterwards. But again, there are some sectors that are so formal, like the corporates.
Yeah.
If you're a corporate company and I'm a corporate company, we have defined, you have rules and regulations that define our operations. You have yours as per your articles, I have mine as per my articles. So for us to enter into this, we have to first set up a clear standard that this is how we are going to operate.
Before you even get your certificate of incorporation.
Yes, exactly. Before we get into the partnership agreement, before we set up to register the partnership, we have to first agree formally. We form the agreement, the understanding, and then we agree this is how we're going to operate, and then we register.
Right.
But again, you find that there are so many businesses downtown that just start on the basis of the personal relationship, and they do business that way. But later, they only realize that, oh, there's some steps that we skipped.
Yeah.
By the time they discover that, it is too late. Sometimes they're breaking up. Sometimes they are going to courts. Sometimes they are fighting. Sometimes they are, there's a lot. So it is always smart that you form a partnership agreement and then venture into that.
Is that one of the requirements that banks, for example, Bank of Africa needs to maybe when it comes to financing projects of partnerships?
Yes, that's right. A bank is a formal sector. For a bank to operate, it would expect that the client is dealing with has a formality they're following. And for a partnership, the agreement is very, very prudent.
Between the two
it's very important.
Between the partners.
Between the two partners. It is very important that it has to be in place. So that the bank can also determine from that agreement that this is how we are going to manage the entire risk related surrounding this partnership. In case of any grievance, this is how we are going in. In case of default on our loan, on the financing we are giving you, then this is how we are going to engage the two partners. You have to know the levels of participation of each partner and their levels, their duties and obligations in the partnership.
Ronald, for me, I personally fear some things. Because like I said, you may find yourself dreaming more than your partners, or you are a risk taker, or and your partners not understand it, or you're more patient and the partners want the money quickly, and so you end up conflicting. And so for me, I fear that engaging with anyone. So if I bring you into my business, I tell you I am the one that makes the decisions. If you do not want out, are there actually dangers of partnerships? Even if you've done all these partnership deeds, are there things we should watch out for that? If we don't watch them, we are definitely going to get our hands burned.
Let me first address your concern of the fear. And again, the fact that you want to be the one to dominate the management of the partnership. There are different types of partnerships. There's a general partnership where you and I, if we formed a general partnership, we have to be equally responsible. You can engage the partnership. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, will automatically bind the partnership. Whatever I do on my own will bind the partnership. And again, there are limited partnerships, whereby the limited partnership will have one overall general partner who is in charge of the entire operations of the business, and again, limited partners who may not actively be involved in the operations of the business.
But he reports to them, though.
But he contributes capital, and you, the general partner, you have to report to the limited partner. This is how the business is progressing. This is what you're doing. This is the profit. This is the interest they're paying you on your capital. This is everything that's happening in the business, and this is the direction you're taking. You as a general partner, you report the limited partner. The limited partner will not be involved in the partnership. I mean the management or the operations of the business. You will not make decisions. So if you're that kind of person who wants to dominate, and you have the advantage of capital, you have the advantage of resources, you have the advantage of the connections, then you can say, okay, fine. I bring the idea of the partnership. I will be the general partner, but the people I want to partner with should be limited partners, so that their level is determined, is restricted to a particular, But again, with banks, of course, we see the challenges with the partnerships. Just like you stated, if there's no agreement, then usually there are conflicts. So because of that, as you stated, that you will be a dominating person, and the other person may be submissive, you may be a leader, the other person is a follower. Usually because of that, there is conflict. There is conflict. And usually with the partnerships, it is an issue of personality. Personality. The personal feelings sometimes overwhelm the business requirements. And again, you end up breaking. So when you see such things as a bank, for us, we want to mitigate the relationship. Once I give you the financing for your partnership, then I want to know that if there's any conflict, and there's an agreement, this is how you're going to resolve it. But in case you fail to resolve, then I should have a fallback position. That is my security.
As a bank?
As a bank.
Okay.
But again, you should also know that as partners, if I lend you money, then you are equally bound as I am.
Whether you're a limited partner or a general partner.
If you're a general partner, the entire obligation lies on you. It means that if I give money to the partnership, and the partnership defaults on my money, then I will come. I will come for your.
The bank will come for the general partner.
I'll come for your general. For your property. For
your property. The limited
I'll come for your house. I'll come for your car. Of course, that is as far as the general partnership is concerned. But if it's a limited partnership, then there is a limited level of liability. Depending on your capital contribution. So I may not come for your property, but at least we'll look at how much your contribution is, what your stake is in the partnership, and then that will form the level at which the bank will, engage you in terms of following up on the repayment of the facility or the credit facility giving you. Yes.
Well, if you're just joining us, I'm with Ronald Kasasa from Bank of Africa, who is in charge of corporate and SME banking at the Business Center. And this morning he's telling us about partnerships. And if you're engaged in that, probably was thinking of going this morning and you dissolve that company. Maybe these are some tips for you. Let me ask you, what does Bank of Africa have? What sort of funding can partnerships get from Bank of Africa?
Bank of Africa is a flexible bank. The first thing I should tell you is that we have tailor-made solutions for our customers. If you come as a partnership and you have specific financing needs, we look at you as you. And then we say, okay, fine. Brian Mlondo and Kasasa partnership, they have this kind of engagement. They have a contract they're going to carry on. So if I'm give them any financing, I'll give them contract financing. And the contract financing I'll give them has to suit the terms of the contract, so that there is flexibility of management of that contract in terms of the financing we are giving you. But again, we have a wide scope of products. We have working capital facilities in which we give you overdrafts, overdraw your account to be able to pay your to service your operations. We have contract financing, just like I stated. We have invoice financing, where if you have a business and you've invoiced your customer and they're going to take 90 days to pay you, you bring the invoice to me, I pay you cash immediately. And again, you follow up with your customer. When they pay you, that's when you pay me.
Wow.
Yeah. If you carry a certificate, if you carry a project and you're given a certificate, you give it to me. I give you money immediately. You don't have to wait for 90 days or 180 days to be paid. I give you the money. You continue with the operations. You continue. Then we have investment loans. If a partnership would wish to invest, say, in an asset, we finance you to acquire the asset. We can give you car loans. We can give you property loans. We can give you so many forms of loans that will suit. And the tenor of the facility is flexible to suit your cash flows.
That's fantastic. I like the thing of, you know, you financing, then I expect the invoicing part, because some companies take long to pay.
Indeed.
Some companies. Well, Karievi Zungu on Facebook says banks mostly invest with the intent of maximizing their profits. It's a bit quite technical in Uganda. Of course, banks have to get their profits. Iga Simon Chigongo says Ugandans are not good readers. They rarely read the documents given by banks. People are mostly interested in receiving the money and end up entering into contracts they are not sure of. Banks haven't done enough to educate their customers. They only present documents to sign. Well, if you need more information about partnerships, you can feel free to go to the BOA website.
Can I address the issue of the informing the public?
Under 30 seconds.
Okay. Bank of Africa usually carries out business clinics. We hold workshops in which we educate the SMEs, the partnerships, on how to manage their businesses and the products we have that will suit their financing needs.
Right.
So if you want to understand more, our invitation is open to the entire public. It's not limited to only Bank of Africa customers, but whoever would wish to participate in such an arrangement is always invited.
Right.
Very soon we'll be having another clinic, which we'll be communicating. We'll share it with the public, and we'll be inviting the entire public to come and participate.
Right. Or you can go to Bank of Africa main branch at Ginger Road and look for Ronald Kasasa. Tell them you watched him on TV and he can answer all those questions on partnerships. Isma, speaking of partnerships, this morning Brazil may miss out on Neymar, and of course we the Germans will embarrass them at their own home. Any predictions for the game tonight?
You can't say may miss, will miss Neymar and Thiago Silva. And I actually think the Germans have a big chance of advancing to the final, but never discount a wounded lion. Brazil will be a wounded lion today because they don't have their two talisman there.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that. We also, Brian, discuss one of the greats of the game, Alfredo Di Stefano. I think you've seen in the news, the one who passed away yesterday. And then all the other sports will catch a bit of the Uganda Cranes. And then also the national team, the rugby Cranes, have an Elgon Cup tie this weekend against Kenya. That and more.
Right. Of course, you'll be explaining to us, Honorary President, what does that mean? You know, he's died when he has that title. Well, for the rest of you, stay with us. We'll be talking sport and the World Cup when we return.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs,
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up. What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello?
King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow! SpongeBob!
ekifo ekimu kisawa musu
n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo. Yogera naffe. Buli Lwakuna. Butereevu ku NTV Akawungeezi.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am MUI?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capasas omwana yenna asobola okugamba super deep si myaka gyaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Kati ne kambuuza mukagate why are you crying? Ne kagamba abasajja engeri gye bafulumiza mu lukwago.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotich's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
Twenty-two minutes on to 9 o'clock, and this morning joining us for sport, as usual, Isma and Mabel Kebirunje. Good morning, Isma.
Good
How
morning.
is Idi treating you? I mean, Ramadan. Ramadan.
You're really someone who's looking forward to the pilau.
So we are going to eat pilau at your home, eh?
And I hope so.
And he lives near us, you know.
Yeah,
He's in the Carlo.
It's in the same street, you guy. We must come for pilau.
Yeah, that sounds like we live on Benchi. But actually we don't. Yeah, but it is still too far away because this is the 10th day of the month of Ramadan.
Only
And
30 days to go?
Only 20 to go.
You do 30? I
30
thought,
days. Yeah.
40s.
Yeah, 40 is a totally different faith, yeah.
Okay.
It's going well, it's going well. It's one good time of the year, one very good time of the year.
I thought I saw a Muslim that was eating
Where was that?
about 2 days ago. I was like...
You know, with matters of faith, because all the other pillars of Islam, you know, Islam is built on only 5 pillars, the most important. Believe in one God, pray 5 times a day, give to the poor, fast, and if you can, go to Mecca. And you're almost as good a Muslim as anyone could be. And all the other pillars, I think, are visible. They can be seen to be done. Now, fasting is purely a covenant between you and God. Because I could easily tell you, Brian, I'm fasting when I'm not. Because when will you find me eating? But
That's why you don't have a cup of chai.
yeah, it's a covenant between you and your God. So it's not something that you can either know or not know whether you're fasting. That's why in the Quran they say, that all the other things have specifics of the reward that you'll get from God. Now, with the fasting, there is no specific of what you'll get from God, because it's God. I always listen when sheikhs are preaching. They say, "Okusiba kwange nza kusasula." That's what exactly God says.
So it's your personal thing with Allah.
Yeah.
If you see God, okay.
Someone asked a question on Facebook. The wife goes away for a month every Ramadan, and he's, I think, a bit concerned.
No, it's wrong. It's wrong. Probably the wife has to read a bit more of the Quran. Ramadan does not take away your marital responsibilities.
But you can't have sex.
No, you can.
You can have sex during
yes,
Ramadan?
when you're legally wed in the hours after fasting. That's it, all the marital responsibilities gone. It's not about staying away from only food, from all this, but from abusing people, from cheating. It's a reminder of what you're supposed to live in God's eyes. And all the other things that happen are supposed to happen. It's not a must that you're supposed to go. That's a total lie. Okay. Needs to probably.
I'm glad that fact has been dispelled.
I'll probably tell Imam Idi Kasozi to come here one of these days and
explain some of the Well, talking sport, Alfredo Di Stefano, the Real Madrid great. How great is this man? I know he was an honorary president. Yeah. What does this mean?
Honorary president is, I think, a title given to people in appreciation of the service they've given to a club or a country. And that's what Alfredo Di Stefano was to Real Madrid. Of course, part of the Real Madrid team that won 5 Champions League titles in a row back in the 50s, won 8 La Liga titles, and also played for 3 different countries, something that cannot happen now, for Argentina, for Colombia, and Spain. Because in the past, in the past, it wasn't restricted that when you play for Uganda, you can't play for Kenya. That's something that never happened in the past.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, you could play for as many countries. If you switch, you could afford to switch nationality. And that's exactly what Di Stefano did. And he passed away yesterday. I think one of the things when you ask how great is he is that there are not many players who played in the past who are compared to Pele or to Maradona, and it doesn't sound like it's detrimental. Now, Di Stefano is one of those, because when you look at all the tributes for those who watched him, none of us probably in this generation did watch him, but listen to Sir Bobby Charlton, listen to Sir Alex Ferguson, and Pele himself, and all the other greats of the game from the past. I think even without watching him play, you know this was the real deal, the real deal. And to even appear in the same sentence with Pele and Maradona and not sound like a fallacy, and not sound like there is no way your name should appear there, has got to be quite something for Di Stefano. And passed away at 88, and I remember when I first heard the story that he had suffered a heart attack on Saturday night at 88. I almost feared a bit of the inevitable, because he's been in and out of hospital in recent years. He reminded me of the time when Eusebio was suffering from all those illnesses, the Portuguese great who was born in Mozambique. Actually, at the point when he eventually passed on, Eusebio, probably Portugal had prepared for it a bit more. And actually, I think Real Madrid, Colombia, Argentina, and Spain had prepared for the eventuality of the passing of Alfredo Di Stefano until the point when he eventually did. May his soul rest in peace.
Well, the first semi-final is on today in regard to the World Cup. Brazil versus Germany. Who is the favorite?
Who is the favorite? With these two countries, some of the 2 biggest countries in world football for me. Germany have played 104 World Cup games. Brazil have played 102. So these are 2 teams that have not much between them to choose. Even if Brazil have won 5 World Cups and Germany have only won those 2, or rather 3, is that there isn't, I doubt you could pick a favorite, though the head-to-head is heavily skewed in favor of Brazil. Out of the 21 ties between the 2 sides, Brazil have won 12, and Germany, I think, just about 5 of them. So if you look at that kind of history, is that for the 2 sides, they are only judged on winning. When you're Brazil, you're expected to win. When you're Germany, you're expected to win. So I think you can barely choose who the favorite is between Brazil and Germany. But from events of the past 2-3 weeks, it's got to be Germany who'll be feeling confident.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, looking at the team sheet right now, Germany against Brazil, even when Neymar is in the squad, Germany is far superior.
When you say fast period, that's a lie, Brian.
But it is. It is. Come on.
Okay, well, Germany could be superior because of the technical ability of recent years, and we're all getting used to a Brazil side we never knew. The Brazil side that hacks, that kicks a ball long, the Brazil side that is physical. The flair is gone. This was the Brazil that many of us grew up to, of this generation. The Brazil we watched back in 1994, probably 98, 2002. This was the same Brazil. So if you look at what is easy on the eye, the German game looks much better because they try to keep the ball like Spain. They pass it a lot more, and they're not exactly what Brazil used to be. But I think the bigger problem here it comes with Brazil. Neymar out injured, or because of that injury he suffered when Zuniga went into his back with that knee, and then Thiago Silva suspended. I remember telling you yesterday that Brazil had appealed against the yellow card, and I said if FIFA decide to give him leeway to play, I won't watch the World Cup. FIFA a lot smarter, in protest, a lot smarter. They upheld the ban and he won't play. That means that David Luiz will take the armband one, and then Dante will come in as the center back. So I think there's so many things that haven't worked for Brazil, but one of the things that I can trust Luis Felipe Scolari, the Brazil coach, to do is to create this kind of siege mentality. Do it for Neymar. I think there's been this outcry across the country. Neymar's carried us here, let's get the task from right here and probably take it to another level. And I have a feeling that probably Oscar's got to inflate his responsibility on the team. I think after playing against Croatia in the first game, he's faded through. He's a player who has the talent. And probably whoever Scolari chooses to replace her, who is likely to be Willian, the Chelsea midfielder. Totally different from Neymar. Doesn't score as many goals, doesn't get to the box as often. He's better of a passer than a scorer. So you've got to think that it's going to be about the balance. It's time for
Fred to score.
Yeah, probably Fred should come and chip in with
lazy
the ball.
man. I can't believe this, that he helped Brazil qualify.
Yeah.
And now
he can't find the net.
I think he faded badly. He's faded badly. And I think it's about the system, the way the Brazilians play. They try to make it about Neymar. Fred is supposed to set up what I explained as a screen. In basketball, I think many people follow basketball know what a screen is, where the big man comes to the top and runs and just protects the shooter to sink the ball. That's exactly what Fred is supposed to be doing. But probably in that role in football, he's supposed to score some goals. Now Fred hasn't been scoring, and they're supposed to as well in Neymar. That's a point where I've said the inflated responsibility of Oscar and probably the dribbling abilities of Willian getting into the box should be very important to how far Brazil can go in this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Will we see the Germans with a striker at the front, or will they revert to a flat line?
I think largely for most of the tournament, they played with that flat line at the front with Thomas Muller as the lone striker. And now, in the last round, in the quarterfinals, they went for Miroslav Klose. That experiment didn't work very well. I'd prefer to see Klose myself because I believe in teams playing in having players in their natural positions. Because for so many people who love to play with this false nine, I always make a case that for one team that played with the false nine the way German have with Thomas Muller, who has scored 9 World Cup goals in just about 10 appearances, is that none of those teams has had Messi, because Messi is the one who epitomized the false nine role. He scored 92 goals in a calendar year, so you cannot want to play Germany that way if you don't have that kind of player and they don't have Messi. But I think one of the things they'd want to do is probably get behind that backline. Dante and David Luiz are not too far away from a mistake. And if you want to get behind that backline, then you don't field closer. But for me, the bigger problems have not even come at the front because they could get away with scoring one goal. It's about who Joachim Low chooses in midfield. Early in the tournament, he was choosing Philip Lahm, Toni Kroos, and Sami Khedira. Then he eventually changed, then went to Philip Lahm at right back, which should be his position, not in midfield, and then had Sami Khedira and Bastian Schweinsteiger, and then the other guy, Toni Kroos, which I thought that is a more balanced German side, like one we saw against France. Yeah. I would love him to keep the same team that played against France, but also probably not fail Miroslav Klose. I don't think he did enough to warrant himself a place, and probably revert to having Mesut Ozil on one side and then Mario Götze on the other and then Thomas Muller. There's a lot more fluidity there than having Miroslav Klose, and I think against the Brazil side that will feel like they have to do this for Neymar. They'll be solid defensively. They'll have Luis Gustavo return to the side and fall back. You'd want to have that kind of fluidity going forward, which for me, Thomas Muller and Mario Götze would give them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know Muller would sink Brazil. I know that for sure.
You want Muller to sink Brazil.
Did you listen to the French ambassador earlier on? Very hopeful about the young French team.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very
they've even
hopeful.
been doing well in
And saying the Euro Cup is going to be hosted by the French, so obviously...
there's more hope there.
So maybe we shall change allegiance from Italy to...
Well, this has gone on, you know, on even international televisions and CNN and BBC, but CNN did this fantastic feature on how some Americans can't believe they are graduating into a soccer nation. How did this happen? When I watched the footage, I thought to myself, are all these Americans watching soccer? Read football for us Africans.
I think they have for some time.
How did it get to that?
I think they've been watching soccer for some time, but probably America has a way that one good event sparks this kind of national outcry, especially in that moment when Tim Howard had those 15 saves for the Americans against the Germans. Eventually, that wasn't enough to take them through, to take them any further in the tournament. But I've got to think that you have to go way back to understand America's love for football. Do you know that America took part in the first Football World Cup, or soccer, 1930? They were invited at the time because then there weren't qualifiers. 4 years later, America had to qualify for the World Cup in 1934. Then they've always tried to build soccer to that extent in America. And everyone, I think, every sport in the world wants to capture the American market. I know what cricket is doing every other time to get Americans playing, and rugby. They've even had to, the team has even had to hire Nigerians because they are bigger, because they are faster, to go and play rugby for them. Then, if you remember, in the 1970s, they hired one of the teams, I think New York Cosmos, signed Pele to build a brand of football. That experiment didn't go well. And that moved on to when they started the Major League Soccer, which is now a professional league, back in 1993. At the time, they thought that by making soccer professional in the US and match what basketball has done and all the other sports, which have been there much longer, because until 1993, soccer wasn't professionally recognized in the US, and it was another job. Now they made it that way. And 1 year later, they hosted the World Cup. And actually, at the time when they hosted the World Cup, they had over 60,000 people attend almost every game and had 94,000 people watch a World Cup final between Brazil and Italy in 1994. Now, I think the growth of soccer has been ongoing. And over time, they've tried to sign that big star. Of course, the biggest of them after Pele has got to be David Beckham.
Yep.
And that's about promoting the game of soccer in the US. Though you've got to think that they're still way behind all the other sports, with basketball, with American football, with baseball, with NASCAR. But that's for me down to time. Because the other sports have been there much longer. Soccer has only turned professional 21 years ago in the US. So I think they need this kind of moment, a Tim Howard save here, and will get the whole nation believing that they can do this. And they are not too far away from the game. I've always thought they're not too far away. Though it's very important that you always say soccer, not football. And probably that's a harder thing to comprehend for every American.
Well, I hope they don't come and take the World Cup. Especially for Africa. America can't take the World Cup.
No, but they should, because Africans, we just do majani. But anyway, moving on to an American game, basketball, but locally, several results. Whom do you think is celebrating the most? We have the Diamonds. They lost to Sharing. City Oilers beating Falcons. KIU beating Rhinos. And yeah, tell us about this.
In recent weeks, I think there have been some shock results, and these results don't represent any kind of shocks. So it's all the teams that you expected to win that were winning. So there's a bit of it's a bit of anticlimactic for some of us who always support the underdog. And Brand, that's when I joined you for Costa Rica, because I'm always a man who supports the underdog. That's why probably in that Wimbledon final on Sunday, I was for Roger Federer, because it was clearly the underdog. Now in this case, all the underdogs lost. So with the KIU result against Charging Rhino, Rhino is finished 8th. You look at Nkumba Marines, for me the team that has only won one game in the season and will be relegated, and it's nothing to do with whether I like or don't like Nkumba Marines. And they lost to UCU. So I think the results were heavily skewed for whatever team you thought would win. So I wonder how much is there to celebrate at this point in time.
Right. Well, Uganda is going to be hosting Kenya in the annual Elgon Cup, but it comes at a time when the event is fading.
Yeah.
What is the Win for Rugby Cranes going to do to revive it?
I think since the Elgon Cup was started back in 2004, Uganda has only won it on 2 occasions, and that, for me, Uganda winning, we've been the lesser part in this against the Kenyans. Uganda winning would probably create some kind of hype here. And probably it's going to be a game of equals, because if the events in Madagascar had gone totally different, because Kenya have been playing in a World Cup qualifier where they fell short, they lost to Zimbabwe, and then eventually, sport is so cruel. After Kenya lost to Zimbabwe by 27-10, they could still finish second and go into a playoff against Russia to qualify for next year's World Cup in England. This is what happens. Namibia needed to beat Madagascar by 50 points to knock Kenya out of World Cup qualification. And oh my, they did. By 50 points. So I think at that point, Kenya would have arrived here World Cup bound. If events in Madagascar over the past 1 week had gone totally different. But I think for one of the things that probably hasn't worked for this tournament in recent years is that one of the media reports earlier this year reported that the Oregon Cup won't take place this year because the Kenyans are no longer interested in it. I wonder how much interest the Kenyans have in it. Two, is that there's been these persistent reports that Kenya will send a weekend side to Chadon on Saturday, their Kenya A side, and they won't bring their first side. Now, for me, with the events that happen in Madagascar, now they have to keep their IRB ranking high, they wouldn't want to come here and lose.
Yeah.
And last year, they lost at home and won the return leg here to lift the Elgon Cup. So I've got to think that while everyone thinks the shine is lost, I have a feeling that there's something about Kenya-Uganda rivalries across all the sports, whether it's about proximity or about equality. In boxing, in football, probably many Ugandans still look back at that final, that game of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers back in 2012. And I remember the Sunday Monitor headline the next day was "Not yet to Uhuru," when it was October 9th, because that game was on October 8th, 2012, and the next day was Uganda's 50th independence anniversary. And when they said, "Not yet to Uhuru," it wasn't yet the time to celebrate our independence because we had lost. So I think the rivalry between Kenya and Uganda is something that never dies across all sports, regardless of whatever is happening. So I think come Saturday, after we've said everything, everyone has done their preview about where the cup is irrelevant or not, or it's lost its shine, when they walk onto that pitch on Saturday, it will be a real rugby game, I promise you that.
Well, as we end, the Uganda Cranes, they concluded their regional tour. We know they went to Mbar, they went to Soroti, I don't know where else they went. But what next as they prepare for Mauritania?
First of all, I think we all knew Uganda were going to be playing against Equatorial Guinea. That was taken away because Equatorial Guinea are a team of mercenaries, by the way. They have all these players from Portugal, from Colombia, from Brazil, who are nationalized to play for them. Were knocked out of this by CAF because Mauritania, who they had beaten in the previous qualifying round, lodged an appeal against a player who the Mauritanians claimed was born in Cameroon. Eventually, it was proved that this player was Cameroonian with no ties at all to Equatorial Guinea. So Equatorial Guinea were bundled out. And Uganda have to alter their preps now to prepare for a game against Mauritania.
Which is like at the farthest end of West Africa.
I wonder how you get there. I probably will go there walking. But eventually, Uganda has been playing that, Uganda Cranes have been playing in that campaign, Cranes Namutima, where the sponsors of the team are trying to popularize this with all the fans with the new campaign, Cranes Namutima. I wonder how many have caught that already. It's something that needs a lot of work. I think it needs to be a bit more localized. You need to, while the message at the top is Cranes Namutima, probably when I go to Lango, I want to find Namutima in Langi. When I go to Tesot, in Tesot.
And they've been also accused of copying the concept from a radio station. So by the time they brought it, we had already outlived the Namutima concept.
It's very tough being a marketeer because whatever you bring up will always be done. Its history repeats itself, like we always say. But they played 2 games in Imbarara, that one, and then the one in Soroti. I was told that in Soroti they played way better, by a colleague of mine who was there. They didn't play well in Imbarara. Now, I think the preparations now have to step up a notch. On Friday, they have a friendly, call it international, just a friendly against Seychelles. That is on Friday because
it's a friendly.
It's a friendly. I would rather call it a friendly because Seychelles, forgive me, I'm not very enthusiastic about them. I don't know much about their football and not much about whatever else they do. Then after that, they'll play against Malawi next week. That is on July 14th. Before traveling to Mauritania for that game on July 19th. So I think what FIFA are targeting with this is to keep the team together and busy because most of these players who are playing here have not been active. For example, those who are playing in leagues like in Tanzania are also not been active. because the league is off. I miss Diego Keys, Emmanuel Okwi. Their league is already off, so they need to keep them busy.
It's good for the players.
For the players
for the
to keep them fit and focused on that game against Mauritania.
Well, someone, I guess tomorrow you talk about Arsenal's new signings. Nkogwa Godfrey is asking about that, and someone, well, I don't understand some of the things that they're written. But tomorrow we'll talk about the signings of Arsenal. Well, at 1:30 p.m., Isma will be coming with Lumansi and Alan on Omumuli, and every man is sports bar from Club Silk at 10:30 p.m. African proverb bound. Check it out. Esther Musisi this morning contributing a Cameroonian proverb. An elephant which kills a rat is not a hero.
I'm thinking of the Uganda cranes and seashells. Would that
Seashells
qualify?
can beat us.
Eh?
I think.
I'm not sure. Not sure. I don't think they could even touch Uganda.
So now,
all the teams that beat African teams are not heroes.
yeah, those are not because we are rats.
Not exactly.
How can Brazil stand there and say, we beat Cameroon?
Who are even fixing the game?
We beat
Yeah,
Algeria.
of course you have to beat us. If you don't beat us, that's
But
news.
I think it's about using proportionate energy. You know, when I was reading one of those Ladybird books, there used to be a joke about someone picking a missile to kill a mosquito in your house, and they say it was totally unfair. It actually reminds me of that Luganda proverb, and I was telling people just we walked in. Amanyi tegalya, embazi tewaata. Singa embazi yewaata. Yeah, now exactly. You've got to use proportionate energy for whatever you're going to do. Don't carry too much. Don't do too much to do so little.
Think someone, Oliwe kente kugali. Yeah, because even we are seeing it playing out, you know, in our politics. You know, like the elephant is looking for. Let me move on with the show.
There are some politicians who don't deserve all that tear gas and.
Yeah, there are some politicians who just need to be caned, but with spray tear gas. We waste government money.
Yeah.
But really, anyway, but the feedback is on Facebook, Morning at NTV, and of course, feel free to go to Twitter at Morning at NTV. My SMS line is also open 6565. But we are stumbling Isma. We are stumbling Isma.
No,
but
it's
anyway.
only 20 days from now.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
NTV, turning on your world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait. There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station. On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
On the next episode of Destiny River.
Now where does she come from? Why didn't you get rid of her before, you idiots?
We found her over by the cages. She was probably gonna free them all.
Let me go!
Oh, Larinia, the name you just mentioned, Bucefalo de Almeida, is the name of an old clown from the days of Circus Nerino.
And this picture here of a convict on the run, is it all?
I'll go with you wherever you go.
Is your family? Are they okay?
Destiny River.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
and now I mess up all the time. I'll never be perfect for you. No. Believe and pray, that's all I can right now. Crying for you, waiting for you to come set me free. Be with me, walk with me. Every day I'm pushing harder and harder. It's not working. Hear me one more time. Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, be my friend all the time. Love forever, my song, rescue me. Oh Lord, touch me.